Today's show, the gang talks about Zach Greinke. I have a theory on a particular Chiefs player, Josh Jacobs, holding out, and there's much, much more to get to. But now let's kick to the one high and mighty host, and one host that is all roided up right now, Cody Tapp and Alex Gold. Yeah!
This time we actually know which one that is.
Did he say all roided up?
Roided up.
We're gonna hit some bombs today.
Yeah.
Let's get you in a cage. See if you're stronger.
That's it. That's it. Don't drug test me today. Do not drug test me today. We'll get to that in a little bit. It's working already, I can tell you that.
You sure? You feel stronger?
Well,
like you could lift a car or something?
I don't know if that. I don't believe that's what this particular steroid does.
Think you throw to those mountains?
Huh.
I don't think that's what this class of steroid actually does.
You're on performance enhancers.
I am
factors.
definitely.
I'm not going to box you until you're off the roids. I'll say that.
Okay. We definitely got a lot of different things going in the body today.
Don't get a haircut anytime soon.
Definitely have a lot of different things going. More than I don't think I've ever had more prescriptions at one time than I currently do in my life.
Impressive.
I guess that's good.
The juices are flowing.
Hopefully it only lasts for like 5 or 7 days, but we'll get to that a little bit later. If you listened to the show yesterday, you know exactly what we're talking about, as Cody was worried I was going to pass out or die in the middle of the show. So
you were struggling, man.
You looked pale.
Yeah, well, yes. I can tell you that compared to yesterday at 10 a.m., we're already off to a better start. Definitely off to a better start. That's why we have a cough button. That's why we have a on and off button. We can control our mic. There's some radio stations where only Kramer would be able to control our mics. Thank goodness that's not the case, because then I would have to like point at him right before I would cough. Don't have to worry about that. I can turn my own mic off. We know Cody can turn his mic off plenty of times.
Very good
well.
at it. I'm actually worse at turning it on.
This is true.
Fair point.
A little bit later on in the show, we will talk to Josh Vernier. He's going to join us at 12:30. Our Royals Insider will talk some Royals baseball. That's actually where we start the show today, because yesterday we were talking a little bit about the stadium and the press conference that's going to take place tomorrow. You can hear that, by the way, with John Sherman, 9:30 right here. It'll be during Festival in the morning, but 9:30 right here on 610 Sports Radio.
Yeah, I was thinking more about why there's so much viscera seemingly towards it. And I think, honestly, a big part of the problem with people at the stadium and like the frustration over the Royals is just a general frustration they've had with the organization for such a huge majority of their lives. It is hard to take these 3 years, right, where they were successful, proved that they could win, went on to win a World Series, and somehow went to back-to-back, because that seems like now one of the biggest franchise anomalies of all time. Because outside of the 3 years in which they were passable, they have spent another 14 of those 17 years being one of, if not the worst team in franchise in baseball. Since 1998, the Kansas City Royals have the fewest wins in the entire sport. And unfortunately, what's happening for me right now is I'm starting to realize that the face of that is still on the team. His name is Zach Greinke. He is the face of my frustration over the last 20 years. Zach Greinke is my all-time favorite Royal. He's my favorite Royals player ever. And I understand you're like, that's crazy. They had players who won a World Series for this team. And look, I'm saying Lorenzo Cain would be on my list. Certainly members of that team would be in my top 5. But Zach Greinke is my favorite player, even despite the fact he is the face of fan frustration for 20 years. Think about it. He won a Cy Young. He's currently
cover of SI, all of it.
Cover of SI. He's been the Royals' best pitcher this year at the starting rotation point.
Well, yeah.
Low bar, but you know that it's true.
Yes.
And he has been surrounded for a huge majority of this by the worst team in baseball. He has a 25-game road losing streak. He's talking about losing his stuff. Remember mentioning that to JJ yesterday. He's like, I don't have any stuff anymore. So be it. And yet still is their best starter. It's like, to me, Zach Greinke all of a sudden has become this face of what my frustrations have been over the years. I don't want to lump the stadium into that. John Sherman is trying to put money into the organization, put it into the franchise, and make this team better in the long run, is what the pitch I know he would be making right now. But it's hard because right now I'm witnessing so many of the things you and I have witnessed for years.
Zach Greinke, it's weird. Like saying he's the face. I get what you mean by that. I think
the face of frustration. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the example for him is like he's been here throughout all the bad years, right? And was gone when this team was at its peak and they won the championship in 2015. We all know he was a big reason why they were able to do that, even though he wasn't here. We all know about the trade to Milwaukee. So it's kind of weird. Like, he's the face of the frustration, but also he represents still, to me, I've always
Their
viewed,
one success.
He also, without him, that potentially doesn't happen either, even though he wasn't physically in Kansas City at the time. You know, it's not very often also just in a player's career they leave and they end up coming back. Especially, let's be honest, he knew when he signed with the Royals the last 2 years. He knew the last 2 years this wasn't a contender. Not at all. But he loves Kansas City. Bought a house a year ago. He just loves being in KC. His kids are growing up. And he, of course, also there's some legacy aspect to it. You know, he's chasing 3,000 strikeouts. And when you look at his resume, it's a no doubt Hall of Fame resume. And he's going to go in as a Royal. I think him coming back to Kansas City absolutely solidified, if there was any question of that as well. So, yeah, I mean, he's the face of frustration, but also I would say also some of the bright days as well. That Cy Young season was awfully special for so many of us Royals fans. Going to the game, he would be warming up in the bullpen for the game. I remember standing. I was probably.
I watched him pitch 7 times that year.
What was I? I don't know.
8 times?
I might have been. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure I don't screw up the years. I think I was 15 or so at the time. But I remember going with friends, and we were right above the bullpen there in right field as he was warming up. That was a big deal, even though the team wasn't great. But he was great. And
I know,
so that
but
was
in a
cool.
way, what you're describing is how I have to live as a Royals fan every year. You're like, hey, how are you finding the silver lining guy? I'm like, I'm born for this. This is like Bane. I was born into this darkness, man.
Yeah, but what's the silver lining guy?
I am forced to be like.
But he's not the silver lining guy this year.
No.
So who's this?
I just meant I can go back and he represents the different eras of Royals baseball across it, including the winning, to your point.
Yeah.
Because he is the single biggest trade piece that brought back the thing for the brief moment we got to enjoy Royals baseball for a 2 or 3 or 4 year stretch. Because now it'd be like, why are you even talking about Daniel Lynch doing well? Because I need something. You know, I need some happiness. Greinke gave me that. Why do you think Greinke is my favorite all-time player? Because I spent...
Well, I also think you like his interview quotes.
Oh, both. But I spent... My entire childhood was mostly spent where the Royals weren't good. George Brett still existed, but it was towards the end of the George Brett era. So, look, I got some of that early 90s, okay, it's still a little bit of hope part of this. And then they've just been miserable. And for one brief season, Zach Greinke was like, this is what it would be like if we all cared? Ooh, that sounds fun. And look, that's part of the appeal of the downtown stadium to me, is that there will be renewed excitement about just being physically at the ballpark.
Yeah, but that only lasts
even if it's not about the team. I know.
That only lasts for a year and a half or 2 years max.
I know.
After that, then people are back to, understandably so, will be complaining about the product on the field. That the brand new stadium thing, people go out there to check it out for a very short period of time, and then you have to put a winning product on the field, which is why when we've talked about this stadium, and obviously one of the points that have been made from the Royals is that, hey, we get this ballpark village around it. It's going to bring in new revenue. We're going to spend more money on the team. That's what they're saying. You can choose to believe it or not. I will for now, and we'll find out.
They've never given me an evidence to support him the other way. I guess.
And so we'll find out down the road whenever the project actually happens, and we'll see if that is actually factually accurate or not. But yeah, you have to put a winning product on the field. Eventually, nobody cares that you got a beautiful ballpark.
Doesn't he just feel like everything that being a Royals fan has been? Like just the brief moments. I got excited when Greinke came back. Not because I thought he was going to drive them towards the postseason.
I remember the day.
I was just happy. Yeah, because the day before I was telling you that the Royals should sign him.
Well, and then we were at no
and
other.
You're like, he's not going to sign him.
We were at no other pub doing a remote that day, and then it came across, and you should have seen the look on Cody's face. He was giddy like a child found a new toy that day or whatever. It was unbelievable.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, like Christmas Day, man.
Yeah,
Zach Greinke's back. Christmas Day. But I don't want to live in this moment where you're just looking for these. Hey, I'm excited about Vinny Pasquantino. Look at what he's doing or what he can do. Or I'm excited about Michael Garcia or Daniel Lynch. You can always. It doesn't matter how bad your team is. There's always going to be some silver linings. There's always going to be some players that you want to kind of hope around. And I spend a large portion of those, even those bad teams, where you're like, well, at least David DeJesus is good. Or at least Carlos Beltran is good. Or Zach Greinke is good. I'm sick of having just this one player be the reason why we feign excitement or pretend excitement or those things around it. And it just feels like he's become in a weird way, when every time I watch Zach Greinke pitch, I'm like, I'm excited because I'm happy he's here. And then I'm like, he just represents everything that frustrates me about this organization for 25 years. I just want that. I want that feeling. to go away, I guess.
We got Kramer producing for us the rest of the week. He's filling in for Nick. You told us you have a theory about the Chiefs and Chris Jones.
Yeah. And I think there's a disconnect between Chris Jones and the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo. If I'm Spags in this situation,
a disconnect?
I think there is. If I'm Spags in this entire Chris Jones situation here right now, if you want the best defensive tackle in the league, you need to be knocking on Brett Veach's door way before the contract extensions would have been enforced. But there's also been a disconnect between those two since I'd say around the time where Chris Jones wanted to go to be an edge rusher, get to the quarterback a little bit more. Then they were like, you know what, he can't do that, so put it back at defensive tackle. He's clearly a force to be reckoned with when he's there, and when he's on the field, he's a force to be reckoned with. That right there, I feel like, is one disconnect because I think he wanted to be an edge. Because, I mean, it's kind of like how the Orlando Brown thing is like he wants to be a certain tackle, but he's not a certain tackle. Chris Jones still wants to get to the quarterback, and he still does. And also Frank Clark is gone, and that's one of his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to fight for your best defensive player on the team, you might want to bring him around some guys that he likes to, go in the trenches with and battle out with.
Wait, so you putting that on Veach or Spags?
Putting this on Spags, because Spags is not getting to Veach right now and saying, hey, come on, man, we need to get this guy on the team. Stay him, lock him up for a few more years.
So just to be clear, your current working theory for why Chris Jones is not signed is that he is at odds with Steve Spagnuolo due to the fact he doesn't get to play defensive end and he didn't fight hard enough for Frank Clark to be here.
Or even if it's just him getting talent around him even more. It seems like there's a rotating wall of defensive ends on this team. Because Mike Dana, every once in a while, he'll shine out there. George Carlton was a big piece for him last year. But there's got to be something. There's got to be a disconnect between these two.
Chris Jones playing a majority at defensive tackle, but still playing on the outside, had 15.5 sacks.
Because he's a force. He's a force.
He had
30 of them?
He had 9 sacks the year where they did try the defensive end experiment, and we've talked about that. And what's his name that they signed on the interior, the defensive lineman who went to the Packers last year, who they thought they were excited about. We said, don't be excited.
Oh, yeah.
Why is his name escaping me? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking about. Holy crap, what's his name? The guy in the middle. I put more of the blame on him,
I don't remember
the guy
now.
I can't name, than Chris Jones. I don't think there's any. In fact, I think Spags and Chris Jones are quite the pairing.
Then why isn't Spags trying to knock on the door to Veach right now, saying, "Hey, let's get this
Spags
thing done"?
is like fourth in command.
You say, let's get this thing done. Kramer, we know how you've been around the game long enough to know and covered it that these contract extensions, nothing really happens until there's a deadline, right? And the deadline is what? Technically, without it being a franchise tag situation, it's even further, but really it's training camp. That's kind of the deadline. That's when I'll start to panic a little bit. That's when I'll start to wonder what the heck's going on. But it is June 28th. Quinn Williams for the Jets doesn't have a new deal yet either. I don't think this has anything to do with one side's desire or coach's desire to have a player or not.
You and I...
Jaron Reed, by the way, was the guy. Thank you, text line.
Thank you.
I kind of forgot about Reed. Oh, man.
Yeah, it didn't work out here.
No, it did not.
Kramer, this is... look, I'm going to be... You're filling in. You're doing a nice thing by covering for Nick while he's gone. This is the dumbest thing you've said so far in this show. And look, maybe there'll be something dumber at some point later on. But also, is it even July yet?
Nope.
So this deal definitively doesn't have to be done, right? We're admitting that portion of it. Wouldn't be all that uncommon for a contract not to be signed yet. I don't think there's some problem with the defensive coordinator in New York just because Quinnen Williams doesn't have a deal. I do think he wanted to play some defensive end, but they still let him play it. It's not that he never plays it. And it's not going to stop him from making an absolute boatload of cash moving forward either. I mean, he's still going to make a lot of money. Spags, by the way, does anyone ever say anything negative about Spags?
No. Nope.
That's the other part.
All the players love him.
I've never heard a single player be like, screw Spags. We've heard LaShawn McCoy come out here and be like, Eric Bieniemy's an idiot. I've heard at least a couple of players leave this franchise, very few, and complain about Eric Bieniemy or complain about the way they run their offense or whatever. And I haven't heard a single defensive player. Frank Clark practically cried about leaving here. He's like, a dream come true. Really difficult to leave. Even he's not mad at Spags about any of this.
Yeah, I think this has what's going on now has absolutely nothing to do with Steve Spagnuolo.
But this
is normal contract stuff, man.
But if you want to fight for your guy, and he says that is his guy, you might want to get that deal done now.
Yeah, but Brett Veach knows how Andy Reid and Spags feel about Chris Jones. Everybody acknowledges Chris Jones is so vitally important. This is the business side of the game. Stevie, no team, by the way, no team's defensive coordinator is getting involved in the contract negotiations for their star player.
You're gonna say, hey, let's get this guy. Let's lock him up. I know he has 4 more good seasons left.
I'm sure they've communicated. I'm sure if you were to get some truth serum,
we don't know though.
If there was some truth serum that was given to every single coach on staff, I think they all would say, yeah, get him signed. Do what you got to do. I have no doubt in my mind that that's what the coaches want.
I just want you to imagine for 1 minute, Steve Spagnuolo marching down to Brett Veach's office and be like, you know what? Either you get Chris Jones' deal done now, or I quit. I'm out of here. You give me my guy.
And look,
just a good leverage play.
It's also
it might be more about like what phase of the moon we're in than it is about Steve Spagnuolo.
You don't even have to be an NFL coach to realize the Chiefs' defense this coming year, if Chris Jones wasn't part of the equation,
they're way worse.
They're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Big trouble at that point in time. Which, by the way, what's different about this anyway is Chris Jones is still under contract. This isn't a franchise tag situation. He has a final year of his contract. He's on this team no matter what this upcoming season. And I still think, I don't know if your percentage has changed, Cody. I still believe something's getting done with Chris Jones. I'm really not worried about it. Check in with me July 25th. If it's not done, then we can have a different, or whenever the first day of camp is 23rd, then we can have a conversation. But nobody thought this deal was getting done by July 4th.
Truthfully, one of the things that concerns me about it, Gold, about the contract, whether or not it's going to get done, is I have done a poor job reading the situation here back and forth before. So the last time that they were negotiating with Chris Jones, I didn't think they were going to get the deal done. The way he was talking on Twitter or the way that they had talked about the contract, I'm like, ooh, they're going to decide that they can live without Chris Jones because that's a lot of money for an interior defensive tackle. And he hadn't shown that second season of domination, like the 15 and a half sacks. I'm like, it's not going to get done. The way he's talking, it's not going to get done. They're not going to pay him. They're going to go a different way. And this time, I'm so sure that they were going to get it done. I'm just starting to wonder if I have a good read on Chris Jones's situation with this team at all. I know where Patrick Mahomes stands. I know where Travis Kelce stands. I know where several of the members of the Chiefs stand as far as, you know, where they are contract-wise, what they would or wouldn't accept. Yeah. With Chris Jones, I've been off a couple of times. So sometimes I wonder whether or not I have a good handle on what his contract situation and how much he's willing to forgive the team. Because you and I have admitted, sometimes for a player too, it's a lot easier to say, I'll hold out for the cash when you're sitting here right after making $80 million and have 2 rings. This is the easiest time ever for Chris Jones to be like, I'm going for the money. I'll talk to you about the bag and nothing else but the bag.
I still think Kelce, Mahomes, and Jones, from the day they let Tyreek Hill go, we said there's about 3 guys on this team they're willing to pay top dollar for. And Tyreek Hill, you weren't one of them. And by the way, I should say top dollar they were, just not the highest dollar amount. They were willing to pay top dollar for Tyreek Hill, just not $30 million a year. I think Chris Jones falls in the category of Mahomes and Kelce on this team. They're the only 3 players where they will pay the top of their position, the very top, the highest paid. And if you're wondering, well, why hasn't it happened? I still think the Quentin Williams deal has to happen for it to get done before we're actually talking about heading up to St. Joe. To me, there's no reason for Chris Jones's camp either to get something done by July 4th or something like that. From the very beginning, go back to our shows when we had Nate Taylor in studio, go back to April or so. We were asking March, really. We were asking about the contract. Not once did he or anybody he's talked to or anybody believe this thing was getting done in the month of May, the month of June. Everybody said, let's check back middle of July or so, right before camp. So that's where I'm still at. Why would I all of a sudden change? There might be disagreement on the actual dollar amount. I'm sure there is.
And I bet he does wish that Frank Clark was here.
The coaching angle, to me, is not playing a factor. And, yeah, I'm sure he would love his buddy, but he understands it's a business. The Chiefs were not going to give Frank Clark $5.5 million guaranteed or whatever the contract was. They're going to bring in some other veteran, I assume, while we're up in St. Joe. Maybe it's Dunlap. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's Melvin Ingram again. I don't know.
It'll be someone like that, of that ilk. Maybe it's Jadeveon Clowney. It doesn't really matter. You know that it'll be some veteran pass rusher who you can count on for 5 or 6 sacks, which makes me feel better. So you do seem to be doing a little bit better today.
Yeah.
You were not threatening to call in sick today, but you said if it was. But it sounded like that was on the table. Depending on the diagnosis you were going to get.
It was if I was contagious, then obviously I wouldn't be in.
So you're not contagious.
Not contagious.
Would you like to reveal some private medical information?
Yeah, where's HIPAA medical director's not here today.
Different problem.
Nick Schwartz not here. No, I told you yesterday for the last, 4 or 5 weeks, I've been kind of miserable, certainly waking up in the middle of the night and everything, and a lot of congestion and things like that. I thought I just had allergies, right? We all have allergies. It's spring, summer, normal stuff. I've dealt with allergies like most people my entire life, whatever. And so for 2 weeks, I didn't do anything, and then it just never got better. And then I waited. I'm like, maybe it just could still get better. And finally, as yesterday, you heard me, and then I was like, it's gotten
like
worse.
Wheezing
Going upstairs, I was out of breath. It was not good. So I finally went to the doctor yesterday, and I'm loaded up now, man. I think everything I need. I was prescribed more things I think that I've ever been prescribed in my life at one time, which is a good thing, I guess. We're good,
bad,
man.
but
I wouldn't say it's good.
Well, no, meaning it's like it's not happening before.
You're healthy now.
We got the antibiotic rolling today. We got a steroid. That was what you were referencing earlier. We got a strong steroid. We got something for the cough. We got an inhaler too. I've never used an inhaler before, so we're loaded up, man. We got everything going. Got the inhaler for next week.
You're falling apart.
Hopefully not.
You're falling apart.
How old am I? 32.
I feel like you go to the doctor more than me.
No, what happened? This is all related. 3 weeks ago I went in and I had strep throat.
So now in the last 3 weeks you've had strep throat, bronchitis.
I know. So here's
you're falling apart.
Now he's juicing.
Officially, it was sinus infection, bronchitis, and tightness of I guess what would you call lungs or whatever or breathing. Anyway, so chest. So
but it's not COVID.
Nope, they tested, not COVID.
Okay.
We're good. We're gonna be good.
Gosh.
He said, "I'm not contagious." He was like, "Oh, actually, it is COVID." I'm like, "Cool, man."
No.
Here,
we're good.
Fine,
they said if it doesn't get better in 7 days, then I have to go do other stuff, and then we'll see. But I think we're good. I think what happened is it never got cleaned up because I had the strep throat, and then at that time I thought it was allergies, and I don't think we ever cleared up the sinus infection. Then it led to other upper respiratory issues, so we're good. But yeah, I've taken more antibiotics in the last month than I had in the last 10 years combined, so it's kind of weird. We're good, though. I think we'll be good.
Is this a wake-up call for you to start taking care of yourself, I would think if I had this many illnesses, Kramer, this would be my wake-up call. To be like, I need to take better care of myself.
Wake-up call for what?
I need to get to the gym. I got to eat better.
The gym prevents sinus infections? Is that a new medical trend?
Okay, honestly, if you go to the gym like 4 or 5 times, it actually weakens your immune system. So,
well, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week.
2 or 3 times. Go for a walk, Golds. Get outside. Get some sun.
Like the text line said, I think what happened is I had allergies, and it caused like post-nasal drip and then eventually caused the sinus infection. And then I didn't get that fixed, and then it led to obviously some other upper respiratory, and now we're good. We're loaded up. They said don't take the steroid before bed, otherwise I won't sleep. So I only can take that in the morning. So I'm wired. They said you might experience some extra energy. So
do you?
I don't know.
That's what steroids do.
Are you feeling extra energetic? Let's see if you can karate chop through a piece of wood.
That's what they
do 10 push-ups right now.
I don't think that's what they mean.
Let's see if you can break a board.
But just in case, now you guys feel more. I have the inhaler with me, just in case if what happens like yesterday happens, where I for a second I couldn't talk. So we're good.
Man, you're heavily medicated all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You do seem quite chipper this morning.
Kramer asked for pain meds. I said they didn't give me those, man. I said he was asking for some pain.
He was asking for pills?
He wanted pills. I said they didn't give me pain. I said they didn't give me pain pills. It was just a steroid.
I do think
that was disclosed off air.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to share prescription medicine, right?
We share all our medical history on this show.
You're sharing something.
Someone says Gold is the next patient zero for the next pandemic. Yeah, someone's true. Like yesterday, we talked about the enhanced games. I can now compete in the all-steroid Olympics.
Let's
Congrats
go.
to you.
First competitor.
I think we should have you, see how many push-ups you can do today, and then in a week or two when you're off the steroids, see how many you can do that day.
Yeah.
A couple days worth of steroids, like Friday. You've been using steroids like 3 days in a row.
So it should be in your system fully.
See how many push-ups you can do on Friday.
Consecutively.
And then in a couple of weeks when you're off, we'll see how many push-ups you can do then. See how much the steroids help you.
I don't think this class of steroid or this steroid is what you believe it is. I don't think it's going to do a damn thing for me in that regard. It's just going to clear things up, open things up a little bit.
I mean, if you cut yourself using used scissors when trying to cut your hair, I mean, you never know.
Huh? I wonder if you'll get more angry.
Fernando Tatis reference.
Well, my little kids get angry when they're on steroids. Well, they get mean.
That was listed as one of the
pimples.
One of the side effects was what do you call it? Mood swings.
Shrinkage.
No, mood swings. We measured noses last week, Kramer.
So what are we measuring this week?
Nothing. Yeah, they said they could have mood swings. We're good. No, the doctor said I'm not. Someone's trying to say I'm contagious. Doctor said we're good to go. Thank you very much. I'm on antibiotics and stuff.
The Cleveland Clinic says that bronchitis, in some cases, can be contagious.
I'm basing it off of the doctor's advice.
Well, I think it's normally if you got it in a viral setting, it would be contagious, but
idea.
you probably got it from all your sinus-related issues. That's why the doctor probably told you you're okay. But if I get bronchitis,
You can blame me. That's fine.
gotta be.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna. No, I am. Well, there's no like you can blame me. It'd definitely be your fault.
Also,
I'll just be
You
actively
can
mad
probably
at
assume,
you.
can't you?
Based off of what they've been saying, I think I've had this for weeks though, Cody. So you've been around. That means you've
Just
been
been
around it for-
exposed this whole time.
I think
Or
we're
who
good.
knows? Cody could have gave it to you and he didn't
That's
have any
true.
symptoms.
Sometimes I think that happens more times. Like he's the one with kids. Sometimes I think if I've ever gotten a little cold, it
My
is a-
immune system is strong, so I
You're
just don't
used to
show
it.
the symptoms.
You're just used to
My
it.
body just is like whatever.
Yeah.
And there's probably some truth in
Yeah.
that.
Someone else in the text line said they had the exact same thing. There we go. We're in this together. All right. Coming up next, though, we'll get into the running backs in the NFL. More proof of why you don't need to pay running backs, but one running back is making a big mistake.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Baseball season's in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to join today. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Must be present state where lawful to wager 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager. Only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-888-770-STOP Louisiana. GamblingHelpMA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit MDGamblingHelp.com in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-888-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Wake up your taste buds with Bluebell Java Jolt, a delicious pint of coffee ice cream with dark chocolate-flavored chunks and a decadent coffee fudge swirl. It's the jolt you need to perk up your day.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Yo, Biff, this one still needs to be vacuumed.
The service at Chuck's car detailing business is spotless, but new word-of-mouth recommendations leave him short of hands.
They don't have an appointment? Just get him in line behind the pickup truck. I'll stay for another couple hours and get it done tonight.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Parents, are you tired of helping put your kids' shoes on? They're squirming, watching cartoons, anything but helping. Luckily, it's Skechers to the rescue. Introducing new hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Footwear you can just get your kids to step into and their shoes are on. You don't need to bend over. You don't need to sit on the floor and try to wrangle them on. And they're available in all types of Skechers styles with and without laces, and most are machine washable. Find Skechers slip-ins for kids or mom and dad at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Red, white, and dew savings are happening now at the Home Depot. Prep for all the summer guests and gatherings with up to 60% off select patio sets now at the Home Depot. Shop and save on a wide variety of sets and styles to find what suits your patio best for another season of hosting with the most. Find the perfect pieces for your space with up to 60% off select patio sets. So sit back and relax into red, white, and dew savings happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs that will significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief has helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. For this free information, call 800-786-3400. That's 800-786-3400.
Royals baseball is in full swing.
That ball is gone. It's a home run by Vinny Pasquantino.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
Looks up and it's gone. MJ Melendez hits a solo homer over the right center field fence.
Royals baseball. Royals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at gomers.com.
Celebrate the 4th of July when you stock up for your holiday festivities at Gomer's. Gomer's was voted KC's #1 liquor store in Kansas City again for 2023. Best in price, selection, and service with 5 locations in the KC Metro or shop online at gomers.com.
All right, just getting started here on a Wednesday. Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Kramer hanging out with you. We'll get to kicking it with Kramer coming up in about 12 minutes or so. There has not been, I think, a bigger mistake made when it comes to running backs in the last 12 months than what happened out in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Before last season, they decided not to pick up the option for Josh Jacobs. And during preseason, he really was getting a ton of run, like to the point where you're like, they're trying to showcase him. Like, maybe they're going to try to trade him. He ends up playing all year, had a great season, by the way, for a terrible team. Sorry, Kramer. But he had a great season. And then now they decided to franchise tag him.
Which cost him more than picking up the 5th-year option.
So that in alone was just like, okay. Now Tom Pelissero is saying that Josh Jacobs could hold out for week 1 of the season. Quote, one situation that nobody's talking about is Josh Jacobs. At this point, if there's not a long-term deal, I don't anticipate Jacobs being there at the start of training camp, and I don't know that he shows up week 1. So one, just a complete flop of the situation, of what the Raiders decided to do. But also, if you're Josh Jacobs, holding out, we've gone over this how many times now post Le'Veon Bell? That's a terrible decision for you as well. The whole thing's a mess. It just adds to the joke that the Raiders have continued to be. And it's also reminding me of why you don't pay backs, though, because we see more and more examples of this. Right here in Kansas City, we just saw a 7th rounder, Isaiah Pacheco, put together a season to where how good could he be this upcoming season? Can he be a top 5 back, a top 10 back this upcoming season on a rookie contract? I don't have to pay this guy any money. That's your issue, Josh Jacobs. There's other Isaiah Pacheco's, random free agent Jerick McKinnon's, other guys out there. This is why Barkley can't get a new deal as well.
The free agent running backs have like 25 combined Pro Bowls between them. And yeah, you're right. Saquon and all these other guys that are running through this is problematic. This, to me, is emblematic of exactly what the Raiders are. Maybe the most dysfunctional organization in all of football right now. Derek Carr yesterday said, it's just nice to be in a stable organization again. And once they made my wife cry, then I had to leave. Because Josh McDaniels is, and I mean this, the worst coach in the NFL.
Yes.
There's not a single coach I would take under him.
He has a job.
I would let Dennis Allen coach the Chiefs before I'd let Josh McDaniels, because it's not just like maybe Josh McDaniels is a better, maybe he can design a play better. He is the worst handler of people in the entire league. People liked Nathaniel Hackett more than they like Josh McDaniels on his own team. Nobody likes the guy. He's terrible with people. So, to me, this Josh Jacobs thing is just like, wow, you guys are dysfunctional. And you guys aren't going to get out of this hole for a while, which is fantastic news for the Chiefs. And yeah, you're right. If Isaiah Pacheco could even be considered, if we could kick around the idea of a top 5 running back spot for him this year,
and I don't think
then what are we doing paying guys?
I don't think top 5 though isn't. I mean, think about the running backs in the league. Okay, Christian McCaffrey occupies one of the top 3 spots automatically. Barkley, I believe, can continue to be what
he
he was.
plays, yeah, sure.
Derrick Henry, contract-wise, is bad, but he's still someone that you certainly would end up believing he's going to have a much better season. I mean, I think if you really were to go one by one, Isaiah Pacheco,
he might end up
best case scenario, I think, is he's 10 to 12. And a lot of that is not just his ability, but also how they're going to utilize him. Jerick McKinnon's back with his football team.
McKinnon got hurt, though, which is not out of the question. He's spent a lot of time in his career
The workload can increase, but also then it's either Clyde or the undrafted Deneric Prince out of Tulsa or somebody else. I mean, they're not going to just use one back. Very few teams do. And top 5 back-wise, the ones that are top 5 are the rare bell cows, the very rare bell cows. The Barkleys, the Henrys, the McCaffreys. I would have said, Dalvin Cook was in this conversation at one point. He still hasn't signed anywhere, although there is a report that Dalvin Cook has multiple offers, including from the Miami Dolphins.
So he had 1,100 all-purpose yards last year. The guys who had more than that, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler. Like the names
that's another one,
the names you would anticipate is being on this list. Aaron Jones, for instance, would have been above him as well. But those guys are only 200 or 300 yards ahead of him. His biggest problem is if Isaiah Pacheco were to get to, let's just say, I think top 10 back is more than in question. That's more than plausible. That's not out of the mix. He's going to have to pass guys like Kamara or Pollard or some of these other guys that essentially he's kind of in the wash with a little bit. But he had 1,100 all-purpose yards last year, and he didn't start until what?
Right.
Week 5?
But how many of these backs would you take before Pacheco? And a lot. This again, it's
all the ones I just mentioned.
I mean, Chubb, Henry, McCaffrey,
I can't take
Josh
that.
Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Kamara.
The one thing about it is like I take him over Kamara just because running backs get old. Kamara might just be bad this year. Like if you're just going to force me to 1 year, I'm like, I'll take the younger guy.
I think
Kamara is way more proven.
Heading into the season, just with what we know about these other guys and him, heading into the season, he's probably like in that 15 to 17 range of running backs in the NFL. If you're wondering the actual ranking that the folks over at Pro Football Focus gave for him, they did not have him as high as you and I did. They have him at 21.
Okay, but I think, but look, if you're 21, you're in a wash between 15 and 20, like we're talking about. You can make a strong argument for 17 or 18, and you know that he doesn't belong in the conversation with all the guys we just mentioned.
And there's a chance there's a leap from Pacheco this year as well. I mean, someone on the text line 913-586-7610 says, "I'd take nobody in front of him. He's young and will know the offense even better next year." I get what you're saying. Obviously, I'm assuming you're being somewhat sarcastic to take none of them. If I told you Christian McCaffrey could be on the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure you'd take Christian McCaffrey.
Correct. Or Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, but I get your point, which is there's still another level maybe from Isaiah Pacheco. I just think if McKinnon, which he is, part of this offense, those third down opportunities are still going to go to Jerick McKinnon. And we know we just had a topic 2 days ago, Cody, about 3rd and 1, how this team struggles. So it's not like you can tell me for sure, like, oh, but he's going to get every 3rd and 1 carry. I'm not sure about that.
So here's the one thing to always keep in mind with running backs is be like, I mean, if he was, let's say he was the 17th or 18th best running back last year, and you're like, you're going to tell me he's going to be top 10 this year? I'd be like, yeah, because like 7 of them are going to get hurt or get old.
Well,
like, what do you mean? He had just as many yards as Jonathan Taylor last year because Jonathan Taylor couldn't get on the damn field. Like, this is just the that is the reality of the position. That Isaiah Pacheco could be top 10 by default, which means by top 10, but the only way to get to top 5 is if he takes all the receiving responsibilities away from Jerick McKinnon. And look, he was like, I said 1,100 around 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, but in the same number of games started as Jonathan Taylor. He played in more games, but you and I both know he wasn't getting carries for huge chunks of those. But his problem will always be, Andy, he had some legitimately great running backs. And even them he didn't use like a top 10 back. So I will say
Patrick
this.
Mahomes is your quarterback. You're never going to.
He doesn't have to be top 10 statistically for me to think he's top 10, if that makes sense.
But also think about those backs. Not only just the talent, but the Niners, heavy run offense. Christian McCaffrey's there. So not only is it a great back, but also the offense lends itself. The Giants, we just talked yesterday about Richie James and how many targets he got. They're a run-first offense, and Barkley's great. So it makes sense why he's there. Like Derrick Henry, run-first offense as well. You know, Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, run-first offense to a certain extent. We'll find out what they are this year. Frank Wright's not there, so we'll see. But you get my point. That's always going to be the challenge, even if you're you're that. I mean, go back to the Kareem Hunt days. That's the example of like, oh no, you can be that. Kareem Hunt was a guy that was more of a pass-catching back as well.
But he led the league in rushing.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
different.
happening for Pacheco this year.
No, Pacheco is going to be very, very effective. I still want to see what he looks like at camp because there's a part of me that's still a little concerned about the timeline on his recovery post-torn labrum surgery that he had. We know he didn't really work. That's why Clyde got a ton of work. McKinnon and Pacheco didn't do anything in the early offseason stuff, which is fine. But at camp, I would hope we see Pacheco very early on at camp. Hopefully he's not somebody that's not available right away.
And with Kareem Hunt, honestly, the next guy for the Andy Reid offense, Brian Westbrook. The only two guys that have been elite level running back for Andy Reid's offense.
But he was a pass catcher.
It's true, but he was still in the elite level category.
Yeah, that was the Clyde comparison, remember, Kramer, when he
so
got drafted?
Oh, my gosh.
Andy said it wasn't even on us.
It was, Brett Veach or Andy.
But I think, honestly, Pacheco this year, he's going to do a lot more. And I honestly wouldn't take any guys else rather than Pacheco.
For the Chiefs offense?
For the Chiefs offense. I think
I would take
Pacheco
about 5 or 6 or
fits
7.
the mold of what you need here in Kansas City.
You're saying that as a Raiders fan, so not even your guy, Josh Jacobs.
I mean, it'd be nice to see Josh Jacobs succeed somewhere else.
I don't think it's crazy to think, by the way, real quick, middle of the season trade deadline, that both Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs' names could be very much in trade discussions by the time we get to the trade deadline this year.
Yeah.
Not to Kansas City. I just mean
in
general.
Sad part is I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's some mess.
I mean, they need to restart.
Just fire McDaniels. You already fired John Gruden because of reasons.
He would be fired if your owner had cash flow.
That's why I can't sign anybody.
he would already be.
If he had money.
The PF Chang's money is running out.
Dude, it is wild to be just like a broke NFL owner. Because he's not broke.
No, by NFL standards.
He's just by NFL standards, though he is. He can't afford the normal things that they can afford.
Well, what's weird is he doesn't seem to, like, again, he drives a normal car. We know about the haircut thing. It's not like he's out there just
bald
wasting.
now.
What?
He's bald.
What?
He's
he
bald.
got rid of the haircut?
Who's bald?
Mark Davis?
Yeah.
He shaved it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
a good choice.
News to
Play the
news to
breaking
me.
news sounder.
Yeah, that's news to me. That's a good idea. That haircut, something else. Although he became known for it.
Yeah, not for a good reason. That's like, you know who else also got a haircut eventually? Ken Burns. I understand that, like, he was known for his haircut, but the man eventually looked himself in the mirror one day and was like, this can't be my cut anymore. I can't have a haircut
from February
of a 7-year-old kid.
Oh, Mark, he looks better bald.
He does.
Of course he does.
Good for him. He doesn't look like it. He doesn't look like an idiot.
He needs to dye his hair like his father's Al and slick it back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest dye.
Have the cigarette burn still on your shirt.
News to me. We'll get to kicking it with Kramer coming up in just a few minutes. But let's talk more about this Chiefs team. Let's move to the defense a little bit and the cornerback room. And you and I disagree on L'Jarius Sneed and whether or not you would feel the need to give a contract extension to him. I obviously am someone that believes they should. I know the track record is that they haven't with corners. They've invested draft capital, but they haven't signed a long-term deal with these corners. But what about the rest of the cornerback room and the young corners and what to expect? Because Jalen Watson and Josh Williams came out of nowhere. They were forced to play, and they stepped up in big, big ways, helped them win games, like legitimately. We know about week 2 right off the bat.
Yeah.
Jalen Watson, pick 6 off of Justin Herbert.
So there's more than enough reason to be optimistic about it. And I'm not trying to be negative necessarily about it, but I'll tell you right now that the corners are the single biggest swing group. Probably, it's definitely on the entire defense. It's them or the wide receivers, obviously, for the entire roster. I think you could probably argue wide receivers because we know even less seemingly about them than we do the wide receivers. But I think there's like a 25 to 35% chance of a sophomore slump from all the young corners, which would put a very serious load on the rest of the defense. The pass rush, it's got to try to repeat the success from last year, which is there. But, I mean, this is a massive swing group. We want to pretend like the corners are something we solidly know, and I'm telling you, we don't. That is one of those positions that is regularly guilty of sophomore slump, where you see them play good corner, and then people start figuring out you turn your hips one way or whatever nonsense NFL defensive coordinators spend time watching tape on, and they start to expose you. I've seen a lot of corners in my time watching the Chiefs be good for a season, a half a season, and then start getting exposed. I'm hoping that's not the case. And they got numbers, so if one guy does get exposed, let's say Joshua Williams stinks, or Jalen Watson stinks, or Trent McDuffie is just a very good corner and not the level of corner we think he could be, just as long as someone steps up behind, it's there. But it is a big swing group for the good or the bad. It could end up being the strength of their damn defense if it goes all in the other direction.
The good news is you get sophomore year of a guy you traded up to draft and Trent McDuffie, and who even when he missed the first 6 games or so this past year, he came on, and for a guy that missed as much time as he did due to an unfortunate injury in that crappy turf out in Arizona, which we'll talk more about coming up in about 30 minutes, by the way, he didn't miss a beat. Like, he still had a great rookie season. And you saw moments against Jamar Chase where he shut down one of the best wide receivers in football. And so I think Trent McDuffie is going to continue to build on what he did a year ago and become one of those corners that people know about all across the NFL. You know my feelings about L'Jarius Sneed's versatility, blitzing, and in coverage, specifically how he can line up everywhere, and I think he's perfect for this defense. You're right on Jalen Watson and Josh Williams. They gave the Chiefs more than I think they could have expected rookie year. So the question is, was that, hey, that's as good as it gets, which still was very effective, or is there another level to their game? I don't know if there is for both, maybe for one of them. You can't beat the experience that they got. We talk all the time.
They got like 20 damn games, including preseason. They practically played a season and a half last year.
And so if Sneed and McDuffie are going to continue to elevate, or Sneed's going to be what he's been and McDuffie elevates, then you're not asking for a huge leap from Josh Williams or Jalen Watson. The question is what you're saying, which is, do they regress in a massive way? We shall see, but I don't think you can underestimate having as many of these young guys play like they did last year, not just in the regular season, but we saw them play so much in the postseason as well. And I think that was really beneficial for those young guys. And you're right, there's always another name or two. I mean, we went into camp last year. We were up in St. Joe, and at that point, they had Lonnie Johnson Jr. on the roster and a couple other veterans.
They started cutting him. You're like, well.
They cut him because we now know a little bit more. It makes more sense as the season went on. Like, no, they felt great about what they saw from Williams and Jalen Watson.
And the Texans making a more than fair point from the 913. Sneed and McDuffie are too good to let the corner play drop bottom of the league.
Right.
And I don't know if it's ever bottom, right? But I think the reason why I say it's the biggest swing group on the entire NFL is it could both be the strength of one side of the ball, or it could be this team's biggest weakness. That, to me, is a lot of variance. I don't feel that way about the linebackers. I don't feel that way about the pass rush. I don't feel that way about the quarterback or the running back or the wide receiver. The only two positions are corner and wide receiver. And we spent a lot of time talking about how big of a swing we could see out of the wide receiver group because we understand that we know so little about those players. But then also, we can see that kind of swing comes from, we should think about that same kind of swing at corner because it's the same thing. It's easy goal to go into a season and be like, they're all going to get better. Second year, Jalen Watson's going to be better. Joshua Williams going to be better. Trent McDuffie's going to be better. You and I both know, though, at that position specifically, there is more variance than that. It tends to be a position where people show regression a little more easily. I'd be worried less about regression at linebacker, offensive line. You know, again, the position has some factor in this, and that's why I guess I feel that way. But there is a big swing. There's no doubt about it.
Fellas, today Kicking and Kramer's kind of got a little scary yesterday. Driving home, as I usually do. I'm heading on, so I'll tell you where I'm at. Northbound 635, like you're heading to the I-29 split north-south.
All right.
So there's a car hauling you-know-what behind me. It's a big truck. It's a six-wheeler, so there's two wheels in the back rather than, there's four wheels in the back.
What was it hauling, Kramer?
Were there like a naked lady mud flaps on it? That's how I just envisioned any truck.
It was hauling. No, it wasn't hauling anything. It was just going really fast behind me. So I thought, okay, I see this in my rearview mirror. It's coming very quickly. And I thought he's going to rear end me. Well, on the opposite, on the side, like you're going to head towards St. Joe, there's a blue, either Lamborghini or Corvette. Not sure what it was.
Some sort of blue sports car.
Speeding, clearly. Same with the other car. The truck cuts that Lambo off. The Lambo goes half on the grass, half on like the side of the road.
The stripping or whatever they
call it. The
bump
strips or whatever, yeah.
The Lambo gets in front of the truck, and when he gets in front of the truck, he overcorrects himself and hits the car like probably about 30 feet in front of me.
And a high rate of speed. Oof.
Both cars went to the middle lane, and like I've never heard a loud crash like that or seen a loud crash like that in my life whatsoever. I was shaking until about maybe 4 o'clock yesterday.
So wait, what happened to the car? The Corvette flipped?
Yes, I saw. I think it's multiple rotations. I've never seen a vehicle in front of me flip that much. Yes.
Did you stop?
Well, You can't. I mean, where you were at that area, you can't stop on the highway or anything. So I just kept going. Filed the police report.
Going.
No.
You watched your car flip over and you just drove away?
Well, here's the thing. I was at the points where,
I don't want to have Kramer nearby.
Well, hey, I called the report.
In case of emergency, don't call Kramer.
Hey, I feel bad I didn't pull over, but I don't know if I could even get on the side of the road because there's too many cars behind me.
Yeah,
And it was just,
I'm not saying you should have slammed on the brake, but I mean, eventually I would have.
So I drove
Make sure
over
everyone was
debris.
alive.
Drove over debris. I mean, I've seen the crash reports today. I haven't really seen it actually listed on the crash reports in Missouri.
Well, the fact that is there a news story? If there's not, that's actually a good sign. It means it wasn't a fatality crash or something. Because that's what if you see a car flip that many, you're assuming the worst.
But I mean, I'm like 30 feet, like 3 car lengths in front of me. Like that could have been me. Like that's what gets me. Like the car that was minding its own business, going the same route as I'm going. That thing just hit that middle of the car, and I'm like,
that's the way I take home too.
What's like the scariest, I guess, wreck or whatever, if they involve a car you've not necessarily been a part of, but you've seen?
Oh no, a part of was me. I was driving. We were on our way to Colorado. It's 5 in the morning. We should drive overnight because we wanted to spend the entire day there, and it just seemed like easier. I had my nephew in the back seat, my friend in the side. I was driving his car, and we were driving on I-70 Gold, and driving down I-70, going 80 miles an hour, and all of a sudden there are like 5 deer in the middle of the road, in the middle of the highway. So it's like, this is going to kill you. You're going 80 miles an hour. If you hit a deer, it's over. And I was young at that point, so I didn't wear my seatbelt all the time, so I might not even have that on.
Yeah.
And I steered between 2 of the deer. One of them scratched the side of the driver's side door, and the other one blew off the side mirror with its head. So, like, we barely got between them. I thought for sure we were all going to die.
I mean, I've smashed a deer before.
That was the scariest I was in.
So, 2 ones come to mind. One, fortunately, I never hit the deer, but I was driving back on I-70. I don't know, it was like 12 o'clock at night. This was years ago from Manhattan. And all of a sudden, I saw the silhouette of the deer in the middle of I-70.
That's scary.
And I saw it just enough in time to be able to move to the other lane, and that, like, obviously that freaked you out when that happens. The other thing was someone clearly was having a medical emergency. This was a couple years ago, just on in the suburbs, just on a residential, and I wouldn't say, just outside of a residential area. And the car's going up on this curb and like just like not going fast, but like driving all around. Clearly medical emergency. I think the person might have a seizure or something. But that was scary because then eventually they hit a post and the car stopped, but it wasn't. It was still in drive, and there was a couple other people that already stopped out of their car and they could tell put in park. But like that's scary. You hear about that.
You were there like last fall when we were getting ready to go do guest bartending at Social. I witnessed that accident of that drunk driver. They smashed that lady's car in front of us.
But Cody stopped Kramer. He didn't.
I did stop. I waited for like an hour.
Waving, okay.
Kramer just waved.
Come on. The only thing that was annoying is that truck that caused everything, like cutting off that Lambo and whatnot. Like he got away. He drove off.
Someone
like,
says Raiders fan figures not stopping.
I've hit a deer before on my way up to Maryville. That was totaled my.
Technically, that deer I just barely
totaled my Ford Escape. I've actually rolled my Jeep into a ditch before when I had a Jeep.
Maybe you're the problem.
Someone says scariest wreck for them was the day before their 21st birthday. They fell asleep at the wheel going from Highland to Atchison. They woke up to a sign hitting their hood. Yeah, falling asleep at the wheel. That's it's bad for everybody involved there.
I've come close to that a couple of times, unfortunately.
All right, on the lighter side of things.
Yeah, please.
I guess somebody look up that accident yesterday and let us know what happened.
So MLB Live tweeted out yesterday, Joe Burrow called himself Joey De La Cruz, and Donovan Mitchell said, you ain't hit any out, with a smiling face emoji. So I was thinking to myself, out of the players in the NFL, who could hit a home run? The first person that popped to my mind was DK Metcalf. He's a chiseled freak. He's got good hips because of the way he can get off the line. I think he can possibly turn in and
Mahomes hit one out of Monarchs Ballpark with a softball the other day.
I'm saying, like, at a full-speed pitch, like maybe it's like a 92-mile-an-hour sinker.
Mahomes is on the list, though, because he played baseball. He's got his dad play baseball, all that. And Mahomes is on the list. DK Metcalf, I get what you're saying. Just if he can actually make contact, if he can judge the ball, he's got the strength. It's not even.
It has to be a pitch between. I mean, it could be a curveball. Who knows? It's an MLB caliber pitcher on the mound.
I'm trying to think about who else.
I was thinking about A.J. Brown. I think wide receivers, like some of
So
the.
you're just going with
wide receivers are good athletes.
Big
Long arms, right?
Long arms.
Long arms means if
good
they just
hips.
make contact, there's going to be a chance that they could send it flying.
I mean, Kyler Murray. I mean, he's a former baseball player. I mean, that's a given.
True.
I mean, I think maybe Derrick Henry.
Well, yeah, Kyler Murray was like the 10th overall pick. He definitely could hit one out. He'd be the top of the list, wouldn't he? I mean, he was a top 10 pick in the Major League Baseball draft.
I think Travis Kelce could probably put one out.
Oh, by the way, they're going to play golf tomorrow. Kelsey and Mahomes, the match. They're going to go up against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
It's funny how much those things stick with you, because someone just texted and said, biggest wreck, and he named his girl Cindy, high school 93. It's like that wreck sticks with you so much that you're still remembering it from 1993. Someone said A.J. Brown can mash. They said he was an MLB draft pick, too.
So it's a Joe Tooney from the 316.
Oh, yeah. A.J. Brown, 19th round back in 2016.
So you would think, just based on the level of athlete he was and that he was good enough to be drafted, that if you put him in enough at-bats, he'd hit one out. You know, that's what it is. It's a number of at-bats thing, not like could they do it thing.
That's Kicking It with Kramer. Coming up next, though, we get to the 11 o'clock hour. Back to some Royals baseball. The most valuable trade asset might actually surprise you, and we'll tell you if we think the Royals will pull the trigger on that next.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the charts, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over as long as 5 years with special financing, or save up to $5,000 on the spot. It's our best finance offer ever and our most aggressive pricing. Fine jewelry has never been more affordable, but this amazing offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Good business owners believe two things. You have to provide what the customers want, and you have to keep the fire marshal happy. Pleasing the customer can be tough, but pleasing the fire marshal is easy. Keller Fire and Safety has been doing it for more than 70 years. Fire extinguishers, alarm systems, fire detection, kitchen hood suppression systems. Keller handles all of these so you can focus on business.
Keeping the fire marshal happy since 1950. Keller Fire and Safety. KellerFire.com.
Hey guys, it's Nick. Back in March, I started this fitness journey with the guys at Supplement Superstore. And now that I'm over 3 months in, I've hit that point where usually I would start letting my foot off the pedal. You know, when that initial enthusiasm of trying to get into better shape starts to wear off. But that's not happening this year, and it's thanks to 213 Flashpoint. Every day for me has started the same way. I get to work, I throw a scoop of 213 into a cup, mix it with some water, and I'm off. You know, it's so easy to start your day off on the wrong foot, and how from there, everything tends to get off track. But 213 Flashpoint helps curb your cravings. So that means no more donuts for me in the morning. I'm not reaching for that bag of chips at 11:30. I can make it from breakfast until my next meal without hitting any speed bumps along the way. Getting into better shape is hard. You know this. It's not easy sticking to a meal plan day after day after day, but 213 Flashpoint is a great tool that's helping me stay on track. If you're looking to make a change this summer, give 213 Flashpoint a try. Check it out at any of the 8 Supplement Superstores locations in the KC metro area.
While you are celebrating the 4th of July with friends and family, or grilling for one, go to your local grocer and pick up bottles of Gates sauces and seasonings and experience that flavor explosion found only in Gates products. Or maybe you would rather pick up a couple slabs of ribs or a party tray for the park. Gates 5 locations are open and ready to serve whichever you choose. Or you can purchase online at GatesBBQ.com. Make Gates a part of your 4th of July. Gates Barbecue is a Kansas City tradition.
Baseball season's in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to join today. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Must be present state where lawful to wager 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-888-770-STOP Louisiana. GamblingHelpMA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit mdgamblinghelp.com in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-888-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Baseball season's in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to join today. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 533-342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-888-770-STOP. Louisiana. GamblingHelpMA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit MDGamblingHelp.com in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-888-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the ultra smooth, ultra powerful iPhone 11 for $49.99.
He didn't stutter.
See every angle with dual cameras,
Make it a double.
all on America's largest 5G networks.
Large and in charge, baby.
Get with the power of Boost and get the iPhone 11 for $49.99.
That's half a Benjamin.
Boost Mobile.
Unleash your power.
ID verification required. New customers only, at one per line. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details. Switch to Boost Mobile and get the ultra smooth, ultra powerful iPhone 11 for $49.99.
He didn't stutter.
See every angle with dual cameras,
Make it a double.
all on America's largest 5G networks.
Large and in charge, baby.
Get with the power of Boost and get the iPhone 11 for $49.99.
That's half a Benjamin.
Boost Mobile.
Unleash your power.
ID verification required. New customers only, at one per line. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Washed and waxed?
Check.
Gassed up?
Got it.
What about that check engine light?
That,
You know you gotta treat your car right.
I know.
Then you should know about the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. Head on over to AutoZone, get your engine light checked, and get a report for free. Don't even take a minute.
Free AutoZone Fix Finder service.
Your car will thank you, and then you can thank me.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Win Royals tickets 1 hour prior to first pitch by listening to Vern's On Deck Show, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
11 o'clock hour, Cody and Gold. I saw during the break some odds from BetMGM. Most bet teams right now to make and miss the playoffs in the NFL. Now,
Probably not the Chiefs because they're not good value.
Yeah, understand this is mainly because of value. The three most bet teams to make the playoffs, all plus money. Broncos 2-1, Cardinals 10-1. Again, I think I have a bet for them to have the worst record in football this year.
Yeah, I think you were just throwing money into the garbage can if you're betting the Cardinals to make the postseason.
The Patriots at plus 240. Those are the three most bet teams to make the playoffs because they're all plus money. The three most bet teams to miss the playoffs: Lions plus 145, Jets plus 115, and the Cincinnati Bengals plus 280.
I can't believe you only get 2-1 to bet the Broncos to make the postseason. That's it? That's not, to me, that is not good value for a team that I think has a less than 50% chance to make the postseason. Why the hell am I only getting 2-1?
People are buying the Russell Wilson offseason workouts, man. They're seeing those workouts.
It's the head coaching thing. We do say that the two most important things in the NFL are head coach and quarterback, and they did just significantly upgraded head coach.
They got to win 5 more games.
That's a lot.
They won 5 games last year. They got to win 5 more games.
Well, Russell Wilson won't be this bad.
He will not.
Right?
No, I really truly believe that he is going to be better this year. That's how bad it was. He will be better. The Broncos will be better. The question is, to what extent? Are they better and they're like an 8 or 9 win team? I think so. I think they have a chance to win 9 games. Getting to 10.
No.
Dude, you think the Raiders are winning 9. You can't be laughing about the Broncos winning 9. You think the
same chance.
The Broncos haven't beat the Raiders in like 3 years.
Broncos have a better chance
Broncos
to
haven't
win.
beat anybody in 3 years.
Broncos have a better chance to win 9 games than your Raiders,
No,
who don't even have a
okay,
quarterback.
all right.
Is it still funny? That is like of all the stats that exist in the NFL right now, one of the funniest is that the Broncos more recently have a Super Bowl win
Yes.
than a win against the Kansas City Chiefs. they have somehow managed to win a Super Bowl more recently than beat Kansas City. I don't know how that's even plausible, but it is. One way or the other, it is very real.
We'll get into the Chiefs and go back to the Super Bowl a little bit. Some comments now coming out from the Philadelphia Eagles and what took place during the Super Bowl. That's just a couple minutes away. But let's get back to the Royals a little bit. We were talking to J.J. Piccolo yesterday about young players and would they be willing to trade young players in particular. And like you would expect to hear, of course, they're open to anything if it betters their team. They're not going to live in a vacuum or anything like that, is what he had to say. The best trade asset before the season, who would you have said?
Before, like, if it was any player on the entire team?
Spring training.
I mean, before you would have always thought like Scott Barlow for like tradable guys, but I would have said for any player on the team, if you were trading anybody, probably Bobby Witt.
Right. Is that still the answer?
No, not anymore. And it's not a knock on Bobby Witt Jr. I still think obviously he would have tremendous trade value. I think it's Michael Garcia. And the reason why I think he is their single greatest trade asset is it is the congruence of factors that are perfect. He is versatile. He is improving. He is young, under control. I mean, all of those things combined make him the most valuable asset on your entire roster. The scarier part about this is, are you trading away someone who ends up being your best player? And the question, I would say likely no, because I don't think he's the most talented player. I just think he does everything really well. To me, he's souped up Alcides Escobar. He'll play multiple positions. You can hit him somewhere like first or second. He's not going to strike out as much. Yeah. He's a little stronger. I think he'll hit some more homers than Escobar did during his career. But he's obviously an elite level defender, which teams will love. He plays a valuable position in shortstop, but if you need to play him at second or third, you can do that. You can play him multiple spots. I think he's their most valuable trade asset if they're actually serious about trading one of their young players.
So for starters, I think he is the most likely of the young players that we didn't consider part of the core before, of the young players
that should
actually could get traded. Because I don't believe, I don't believe, I told you everybody should be on the table. So there's nobody that's off limits. But I don't believe like they would trade Bobby Witt Jr. I don't. One, I also think the value's less now because of his performance, and so I think they still believe he can be what they think that he could have been before the season. I've adjusted at least what I believe he can be. I think he can be a great player for this team, and I think he's going to have a long MLB career. I don't think he's a superstar. That was still a possibility.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I'm not ruling out superstar, but yeah, I think it's way less likely.
And so when I look at the potential guys that they can move on from, I think Garcia is the most realistic of that group. Like if you were to ask me right now, Bobby Witt Jr., Garcia, Melendez, obviously Vinny's hurt, so take him out of the equation here. Out of that group, who's more likely to be traded? I think Garcia, just because of whether we like it or not. When guys have expectations, some organizations are still holding on to what they believe the player was before. Garcia seems to be exceeding those expectations.
Quite a bit.
He's cheap. He's what you're describing there.
Under control.
There's a chance that he, outside of Bobby Witt Jr., might end up being the best of the group.
He could be. I don't think he'll ever be the best hitter out of the group. I'm pretty sure that is firmly Vinny Pasquantino.
But you were talking silver linings earlier in the show.
And I know, and like, look, the text line's like, are you really trying to trade away the one player I got excited about this season? I'm not even saying they should trade him, okay? That's not the part of the conversation I've entertained yet. I'll give you my opinion on that in just a second. I'm telling you he's their most valuable asset. I know that those sound like, well, then you're saying get rid of him. Not necessarily, depending on what you think he can be. He has every single bright side you would want in a player. But I think you have to make one uncomfortable decision this year. One. And so if it's not him, you need to tell me another young player you're putting on the block. I'll tell you one other guy who'd have a surprising amount that you should just put an incredibly high price tag on because I was doing a bunch of reading about the MLB trade deadline over The Athletic and other spots, and I was listening to some insider-y interviews and stuff.
Were you having a scotch while you were doing that too?
I was just trying to, it's very old man of me, picked up the paper, read about the
So that's a
trades.
yes.
Did you look at the box scores?
But I was trying to get a sense of like what is going to be the biggest commodity specifically this year. There's always a commodity. But this year is maybe in the last 5 years the most desperate starting pitching market ever. And look, you're probably not surprised by that based on how few starting pitchers the Royals have been able to have this year. But that article, and multiple articles, did bring up Brady Singer's name. As in, a lot of people will say to themselves, Brady Singer is more what he was the first 3 years of his Major League Baseball career, in which he had a 4-point earned run average, was very consistent, and he'll become one of these late blooming starters, guys who get good at 27, 28, is not uncommon in baseball. It's actually relatively common.
He's got what, 4 more years of control.
So put a crazy price tag on him. Maybe it's not there, but put the FU price on Brady Singer and see if someone comes and calls about it, if they really are that many teams desperate for starting pitching.
Well, just yesterday we were discussing Brady Singer and the third pitch, right? And is he willing to throw the changeup in particular and rely on that more? And I guess one of those where if he got traded, would he use that more with a different organization? We've seen that happen with other guys that have left the Royals organization as well. That's an interesting name to follow. The fact they have so many years of control, Cody, the reason why I don't think they would do that is if you think about next year and what the rotation potentially looks like, if you were to take Brady Singer out of the mix next year in the rotation, then who the hell is pitching for this base? I mean, dead serious. Greinke may or may not be back. Then
Let's just say Greinke first.
I guess I'll give you Greinke.
Thanks.
Okay.
Lynch.
In this scenario, Brady's gone.
Austin Cox, the starter
Lynch,
today?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, come on. I mean, if you're asking me to guess, Austin Cox.
Okay.
Jordan Lyles.
Okay.
Let's just accept that reality.
Woo. Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
And that's our guy. That's our guy, Jordan Lyles.
You can call me. I'll let you finish this thought. Then I got something for you.
That's
here.
all I got.
So yeah, they don't have a rotation.
Keller. He's making
They should hope that Brad Keller can somehow come back from injury and start a couple games here.
He's making a rehab start today.
Yeah, and hopefully he can pitch in the big leagues though for a couple before the trade deadline. That's what they should hope. No, you mentioned Lyles, and we've obviously talked about the celebration of the first win, and you have a bottle of Dom on the line if
he gets to 6 wins.
And I told you, I think Jordan Lyles is going to rattle off a couple wins here. If he does that, and I know people are going to say that I'm crazy, but if he does that, and if you look at the last couple games, he actually has pitched better the last 5 outings than you would believe for a guy that was.
And I just told you the teams are
11.
desperate for starting pitching,
If
so someone might try to do it cheap.
Were to continue to eat innings, but also have some quality starts mixed in, and you look it up, it's not as crazy as it sounds. I don't think it's impossible that somebody would call. I'm not saying you're getting much for him, but you might get the salary dump.
Ooh, well, I'm going to tell you this. They'd probably presume they would love that, right?
I don't think it's a 0% chance. I think when you saw...
Let's ask Fern at 12:30. I want his opinion.
I'll ask Fern. He'll join us.
Because I'm having a hard time saying it 0% too, but if he just laughs us off the radio, then we have to think differently. But that's our guy.
But again, it requires Jordan Lyles. I'm not saying Jordan Lyles can pitch terribly. He has to have a little run here.
How disappointed would you be if he got to 5 wins and then they traded him? Because our deal was that he has to be a member of the Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd be pissed.
I'd be heartbroken.
I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed off.
You'd be so mad.
But I would, yeah.
But if he's a part of the 2024 roster, I mean, if you think about it, there's a deep, and I mean deep, free agency class in pitching this upcoming season.
Alec Marsh, you're making me keep guessing players. Honestly, the 5th guy is
not on the roster. Let's be real.
He's not on the roster.
He's not on the roster.
Not likely.
Or in the minors.
Yeah. He's not, I mean, they have a couple of other guys, again, showing promise, but that's the same thing that come up. They've yet to have a guy come up and just... Like, Austin Cox is the closest they've had to come up and take the reins for a minute. And he was doing it in the after the opener role, in which he didn't allow a hit for his first 14 innings. It was set a major league record. Well, now he'll start today. Let me see some real promise, right? Let me see Austin Cox make a start today and show me maybe some hope.
Look, I hope so. I've certainly have been some nice signs out of the pen. We'll see what happens when he's a starter.
But having one less starter for next year is not the reason why you are or not going to the playoffs. So you can't think that way about Brady Singer, you know?
No, but I'm just saying, they signed Jordan Lyles just to eat innings. I mean, they're going to have to sign another innings eater then if that's the case.
Most likely.
They have to have. There is a certain amount of innings you're going to need to cover during a baseball season. Believe it or not, they do know that.
I feel like sometimes it's so weird because they'll bounce guys up or down or cheat innings that way, right?
Someone says, "Don't forget about Chris Bubich." Yeah, but he's coming back.
I still think he's the best pitcher on that team.
He's coming off Tommy John surgery. I know it's not what it was years ago, where it's like an automatic, you're done, but still, he's coming off Tommy John surgery. And yes, he was showing promise. So that's why the injury timing sucked.
Pretty good free agent available next year. Shohei Ohtani. Do you think?
So the salary dump for Jordan Lyles.
Yes. I told you. Guys, I told you.
It
makes sense. It makes sense.
I told you. Figure it out in the video game. Figured it out on MLB The Show a couple weeks ago.
Tell you this
I told
much.
you. I signed the deal, guys. A 10 for $550. That's it. That's
you-
all it takes.
Oh, man,
that's all it takes. No big deal. He's on my team right now.
Honestly, do you think Pat would try to
do you think
stir the pot a little bit for that?
Let me ask a quick question. Could you make up the revenue in a single year with attendance if you sign Shohei Ohtani.
No.
Because you owe him $50 million. Can you make
For
$50
TV rights,
million in attendance and foreign TV rights?
Yes, you're going to get so much money
by
for the foreign
signing
TV
Shohei
rights.
Ohtani. Because that is
so much.
That
He's
is
also, let's obviously we're joking, play along with you for a second on this one and say that they had the money to do it. He wouldn't sign here.
That's correct.
Hey, we don't know that. We do not know that.
You're right. I do not 100% know that.
Daisuke Matsuzaka signed here once
to his camp. You're
Wasn't
correct.
Daisuke here for a year?
No.
He wasn't here for 1 year?
No, you're thinking of.
Oh, it wasn't Daisuke. Who was
no,
it?
dang it. I know who you're thinking about.
Lefty?
Who was it?
It's not Daisuke.
Is it Lefty, the guy you're thinking about? He's a left-handed pitcher.
I remember I went to Kaufman to go watch Daisuke.
If you say
pitcher.
Bruce Chin, I'll be so mad.
Not Bruce Chin. It was like an actual. It wasn't Daisuke. What was the? What was the name of the guy?
Well, Hideo Nomo signed at one point.
Maybe that's what I'm
probably
thinking
you're thinking of.
That is probably who I'm thinking of.
Yabuda, the Yabuda guy signed, but
I'm definitely thinking
Nomo?
Hideo Nomo.
Okay.
I was thinking like just towards the end, like the bitter end part. Yeah, Nomo.
I mean, honestly, I think Daisuke's still pitching in Japan.
Hideo Nomo. Oh, I didn't expect to mention that name today.
If I ever get to do the first pitch of the Royals game, I'll go full Hideo Nomo.
Okay, yeah.
You know that where you're just like.
The pitch clock might be expired by the time you're just trying to do that. Like you might need to leave yourself 7 seconds just for that.
I'm actually shocked you'll have the balance to do that.
Hideo Nomo?
Yes.
I gotta, you know what? If I pitch for your Wood Bat League, I need a little deception.
Oh, now you're going to pitch for my team now. Oh, my gosh.
I need a little deception. Just put me in a blowout, win or loss, you know? Let me get one out.
2 weeks, play the Rockies.
We'll get to the trash of the day in about 5 minutes or so. I mentioned some comments from the Philadelphia Eagles, and earlier we were talking about the turf in Arizona, right? Not just for the regular season, but of course we were out there in Phoenix for the Super Bowl, and a lot of the story around that game, believe it or not, after was about the turf. We had talked to obviously George Toma before about it, and you had heard some of his comments and what a mess the field was out there. Well, Brandon Graham, one of the very talented defensive linemen for the Eagles, was on a local radio show out in Philly and was talking about the bad turf and says, well, it helped Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that O-line, boy, they got blessed. I'll say that.
Brandon, did you know, like even warm-ups, like, man, something's up here with this? Did you guys know right away?
I just knew that, when I seen Sweaty, because when we looked at the film, man, it was a couple times where if Sweaty don't slip, boy, strip sack. Oh my God! Especially that first drive when he threw it across the middle to Kelsey.
Yep.
He was right there, man. He slipped. We could not believe it. Like when I looked at the film, I finally looked at it. It was just like, man, oh man, we gonna get that on the get back. It's coming back. That's coming back. But like I said, credit to Kansas City, man. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? Them boys, they played too. They played on that surface too. And I heard that they got the same surface that they got right there on that field at their place and Vegas do. So we ain't gonna. Hey, if we gonna win, we gotta go through. We gotta go through the battle. And so if that's what they putting out, that's what we gotta do. We gotta go out there and rise up through adversity.
So kind of a mix there from Brandon Graham. Like he's certainly taking responsibility and
like, they beat us, but also,
and he may be right. The actual grass and stuff might be the same at both places or whatever. But we all know it was very evident whether you were watching it on TV or you were there. Like Cody and I, we made the comment while we were watching it very early on in the game. Like guys are slipping all over the place. You could tell. So I'm not denying it. Absolutely, it played a role in the game. But we all know the story. Both teams have to deal with it. Both teams are trying to get after the quarterback. Yes, they had the better defensive line, but the Eagles didn't have 0 sacks because of the field. Okay. You don't end up with 0 sacks and say it's just because of the playing conditions, which, again, both teams had to deal with.
And the Chiefs were second in the NFL in sacks, and Philly scored a bunch of points too. So it's not like this was a one-way street. No. Look, of all the confetti we sold for the Cody and Gold Garage Show, just so you know, there's going to be chunks of field in some of those. I couldn't get all the grass out because just scooping up the confetti had the field literally just peeling up. I talked to George Toma again the other day. He can't say enough negative things about how trashy
there's a lot of
that
stuff
field was.
There's a lot of things we can't talk about on the show that you had to say.
Nobody is denying the fact that the field was garbage. But to say that it's the reason you lost the game necessarily, I think that would be taking it a step too far. Because the reality is that it was an equal playing field from that perspective. I get it. You could say, hey, that's taking away our single biggest strength. But the Chiefs were, I think it'd be a lot different, Gold, if we were having a conversation about the Chiefs were the 17th team in sack and Philly was 1. And so this wet field, this inability to get to the quarterback is distinctly a bigger advantage for the Chiefs in that way to say, hey, we've got a game with no pass rush today. But the Chiefs were also good at it.
Well, and in the second half, Patrick Mahomes, I believe, 1 incompletion.
That's it.
And
He was perfect.
And it, I think, was kind of almost a semi-throwaway. He was incredible in the second half. And we all know surfaces and weather play a role in a game. Look at the postseason where the Bills lost to Cincinnati.
That definitely played a factor.
That was a huge part of why Buffalo couldn't get any pressure on Joe Burrow, and then the next week the Chiefs did. So we know it plays a role. But yeah, both teams played on the same playing surface, and the field in Arizona is an absolute joke. But the Chiefs were able to adjust. The Chiefs were able to overcome it. You got to find a way to do it. And that's kind of what Brandon Graham was even acknowledging in his answer. He wasn't taking any shots at the Chiefs, but
no, he was like credit to them and saying the things I guess you would want him to say based on that conversation, but he's also using it as the biggest excuse.
And
I
Super
understand
Bowl,
why Phillies feel that way.
The field is the same in Las Vegas type of field, but they hopefully take care of it a little bit better there at Allegiant Field or Allegiant Stadium, Arrowhead West, which is where the Super Bowl is going to be this year.
To his point, and will always be to his point, nobody's denying the fact that the field was an absolute dump. Yep. It was in bad shape because it wasn't raining. It felt wet. It stunk.
Yeah, it was moldy.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, we stood on the field after the game. It was
flex.
I'm not.
Oh, high and mighty over here.
It was horrible.
What's funny is I have a photo because Cody and I, if you're on the field, you're going to take a photo. So I'm on the field.
As you should.
And I have a photo. And it's one of the 4 photos on my dating profile that I have.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I had some girl message, and she was like, she's like, that's a hell of a flex with the Super Bowl photo. It's not like the first photo that pops up. I'm not going to do that.
But that's a pretty good flex photo.
Of course it's in there. Absolutely. It's a conversation starter.
I'm telling you right now, if I had a
questions.
Yeah, if I had a dating profile tomorrow and they made me post photos, one of the 4 photos would be me standing next to Travis Kelce. Obviously.
So I don't know if I would put that.
I would absolutely put that.
It's definitely a conversation starter, so I can't hate it. But I definitely have the photo from on the field of the Super Bowl, and that gets people asking questions. Anyway, let's get to
Trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
I think all of your sounds are a little louder than the ones for Nick.
Do you mean to turn them down for you guys?
If you don't mind.
Maybe a little. I was trying to decide, but maybe Gold was really thrown off.
It honestly could be the steroids messing with your ears right now.
You think it's the steroids?
I wouldn't be shocked. You're heightened sentences right now.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man.
Steroids, all that.
Could be the steroids. Is that what the trash of the day is about, steroids?
No, it's about drinking, shockingly, on this show. You guys might have seen this from Jamaica. I'll just read you the headline when we get into some of the details. A man unfortunately died after trying to drink all 21 cocktails on a menu during his family's vacation in Jamaica. So a man from the UK was on vacation with his family, and he attempted to partake in a challenge that involved drinking all 21 cocktails on the menu. He got through 12 of them. Then he went back to his hotel room, and he died in his hotel room. Pathologist said that this 53-year-old man cause of death was acute gastroenteritis, I believe is how you pronounce that, due to alcohol consumption. He got through 12 of them. He was going to try 21.
He only got through 12?
He was going to try 21 different cocktails in one evening. And what do you expect to have happen,
I mean,
unfortunately? And then he goes into detail what happened. I don't need the detail. I don't need that. You can read the details.
No,
we
that's
all can
fine.
assume what happens.
Look, this is on you. Do you know, once you get to be a certain age, nobody's trying to do 21 shots on their 21st birthday anymore. Let's not do that. Let's be smart about this. Say, if they have 21 drinks on the menu and you want to try them over the course of your entire vacation.
Over 5 days or something?
Okay, maybe kind of fun, right? 5 days, going to try a few different drinks. I want to see all the different cocktails, see which ones I like. Maybe you don't like one, Gold. You throw out the half empty.
Yeah. Now, the family's blaming, because nobody takes responsibility. Now, look, the family's in mourning, so I get it. The family's expressed outrage with the emergency crews who tried to save them. They were unprepared, they said, to effectively take care of them. Obviously, we don't know if that's true or not, but either way, they're grieving. They're very upset. If your task is trying to go and your goal is to drink 21 cocktails and then you die of alcohol poisoning, no offense, but what the hell did you think was going to happen?
It's hard to be like, I don't know who could have seen this coming. That is, I think you should leave, and he's standing there in the hot dog suit. I don't know who's responsible for this. You, the person trying to drink 21 drinks on a single day. It's just not a good strategy.
Hey, you're 53 years old. What are you trying to do a 21 cocktail?
Drink some water in between.
What are you trying to do a 21 cocktail challenge? I'm impressed you made it to 12.
What age did you just stop being like, you were like drinking for sport, if that makes sense? Because there's a certain age where we're like,
college.
I'm going to have like 10 drinks tonight. Oh, I'm going to get so wasted. Like, there's a point in your life where you're like, I'm done with this. I'm not drinking for sport.
It was after college. I mean, obviously, when I was in Houston, that was actually a ton of, that was different living in a bigger city. So people went out much later in Houston when I lived there. That was like a change. So we went out very, very late and stayed out pretty late and drank. But I wasn't like, oh man, I'm going to get effed up tonight. No. That was done well after college.
Halloween this past year.
What?
Halloween this past year.
You trying to set a record?
No. I drank too much and what's it called? I got severely dehydrated and had to go to the hospital.
You went to the hospital, Kramer.
Yep.
You are 26 years old.
I drank way too much the night prior.
Just a year ago, you had to go to the hospital for alcohol poisoning?
Well, I don't know if it was alcohol poisoning.
Well, that's what it would be.
I mean,
right?
if it's dehydrating, but I thought I was drinking enough water. Apparently, I wasn't.
So you had to get an IV?
Oh, yeah. It was the saline thing. I had a scan. They put some iodine through me to see if it was. No steroids. They just told me to drink more water, and I'm like, what do you think I've been trying to do?
Yeah, you can't be doing that anymore, man.
Yep, that was this past year, so I'm done with sport.
I mean, at this age, you can't still be ending up in the hospital. I mean, you can feel bad. You can regret.
Oh, I just told you I was hungover Saturday morning. We did a bunch of whiskey tasting Friday night when I was out of town. I was hungover. I don't know if I would have had the same feeling if I was 21 years old still.
What kind of whiskey?
I'll do is I'll have to give you the names. I'll have to text a couple of the names. But we had you would have enjoed it. I thought I almost
like a good whiskey tasting.
I almost texted you.
Even though now I'm old and it gives me heartburn, so I had to take medicine before.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Really?
Doesn't stop me from drinking it, but it gives me heartburn.
We are going to have an old fashioned as our cocktail this Friday for 6:10 happy hour. We have some special guests stopping by.
From Jay Rieger?
And our friends at Jay Rieger, of course, providing the whiskey for the old fashioned. And we're looking forward to that. I also think
I made a purchase.
You tweeted out something. We do have a new item for Club 610.
I purchased a neon light. Okay. I felt like it wasn't club-like enough in here. I'm still looking at the possibility of turning all the lights off and getting a light-up disco ball, but I haven't gotten there yet. But I thought we needed a sign. If it's a real club, in the long run, I need a velvet rope and a sign. So if for some reason you have a velvet rope, 913-586-7610. You used to run a movie theater. You think your movie theater would give us one because you work at the Screenland? I don't care. But if you've got the stanchion and a rope that will go in between it, I'm in the market.
Can we get these lights above us?
It was too expensive to buy so far.
Can we get these lights above us to rotate and just put different colored filters over them?
Oh, like the old theater lights? They're called gels. Yeah, we could definitely buy gels for
these.
these.
You can probably just do that. That way during the club, maybe you can get like some blue and red ones or
something. Do it cheap, this rubber bands and different tissue paper.
No, but I think, just slide some tissue paper coloring over the lights for Club 610, Cody. You can get that. There's some different lighting. Now you don't have to turn the lights off, but it'll just make it like you can do blue, red, whatever you want to do.
Probably do that. I'll start with the neon light, which I made pink. Because I've decided that if it's a club, the neon light can only really be one of maybe 2 colors or 3 colors, and neon pink is one of them. You don't think so?
No, that's fine.
Pink is a very good neon color.
A pink or a baby blue?
Baby blue could have worked. I guess I could have stuck with one of the 610.
Yellow.
The 9 colors in the 610 Sports Radio logo.
I think it fits with what we're going for, yeah.
It fits the vibe.
That is the trash of the day. Coming up next, though, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour, and something that bases off of a conversation we had yesterday about quarterbacks, and Yahoo Sports went through, and they were trying to figure out offenses if they suddenly had Patrick Mahomes. We're going to do that as well next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
This is Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation are teaming up with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City to recognize outstanding high school sport coaches through the Blue KC Coaches with Character program. We'll recognize 6 coaches as a Blue KC Coach with Character. Each honoree will receive a Royals VIP package and more. To nominate an area high school coach, go to seeyouinthemajorleagues.org/BlueKC.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR.
JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR.
In fact, JR & Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof,
You're always better with a roof from JR.
go to jrhailcheck.com.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Hurt in a car wreck, everyone knows who to think of.
You think of Mike.
Mike's got this.
As soon as my wreck happened, I thought, Mike's got this. And his team got me $650,000.
Injured? Think of Mike.
Mike's got this.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
For nearly 100 years, folks have trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
You don't plan for a computer virus. You don't plan to lose files. You don't plan to knock your laptop off the counter. And you don't plan for your PC to crash or your screen to freeze. But Staples has a plan. A plan for unlimited virus protection. A plan for help when you need it 24/7. Staples Total Support Plans are your tech plans for the unplanned, starting as low as $199.99. And although you didn't plan for this, right now at Staples you can also get $250 off select computers. N729 in-store only. See associate for details.
DQ presents... Picture this. You're getting together with all your best friends. Now picture all your best friends are actually the delicious ingredients of the new cake batter cookie dough blizzard. That's DQ soft serve, cake batter flavor, confetti cookie dough pieces, and DQ signature sprinkles. Oh, hey, it sounds like you got some pretty sweet friends. And that's worth cueing the confetti. Cookie dough! The flavor party isn't gonna last forever, so hurry in and get your cake batter fix today. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the ultra smooth, ultra powerful iPhone 11 for $49.99.
He didn't stutter.
See every angle with dual cameras,
Make it a double.
all on America's largest 5G networks.
Large and in charge, baby.
Get with the power of Boost and get the iPhone 11 for $49.99.
That's half a Benjamin.
Boost Mobile.
Unleash your power.
ID verification required. New customers only and 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
This is Protection. Yep, Protection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Prevention is the best protection. Off, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand, SC Johnson.
Mostly sunny, a few clouds, high today 99.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Don't go it alone in your job search. With nearly 20,000 job openings, Express Employment Professionals can help you take the next step in your career. Visit expresspros.com today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park and Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Getting ready to go on vacation can be stressful. Lucky for us, there's Park and Go. Easy online reservation, free instant shuttles, luggage assistance, and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. The best deals in airport parking. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
Chiefs Red Half Hour, every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
All right, it is the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Reminder, 1 hour from now, we're going to talk some more baseball with our guy, Josh Vernier, one of run by the possible trade scenarios with Vern a little bit. You mentioned maybe the surprise could be someone like Brady Singer. I told you, as crazy as it sounds, if Jordan Lyles were to pitch better, could he actually be someone you could move? So we'll talk to Vern about that in just a little bit. Cody saw me go to the vending machine, and right away, Kramer, he goes, "Yeah, man, steroids. You're
Make
gonna
him hungry.
You're gonna be hungry."
Gains.
I don't know. I always in the middle of the show go and get Pringles or something. So it's not any different.
So Pringles is your go-to out there.
Ask Cody. I mix it up. It's Reese's. It's real healthy stuff. Reese's, Pringles. I'm not doing the Tostitos anymore after the last bag we got was just. I know they're salty. They're always salty, but these were an extreme level of salt.
So too much salt. Still tart.
Way too much. Like you couldn't eat them. It was awful. So no, Pringles it is today. And yeah, the roids are working, I think.
I mean, you look like you're a little bit bigger.
Yeah, the antibiotics are working. Haven't had to use the inhaler yet. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll probably use it next hour because I'm supposed to. But anyway, let's talk some Chiefs football. We were talking about the quarterbacks and the makeup of the AFC a little bit. I was surprised to see Yahoo Sports when they laid out what they think are the 5 offenses where you could succeed in that offense no matter who's under center. So, obviously, take out, in this case, they list a couple offenses. Take out Jalen Hurts. Take out Patrick Mahomes.
They mentioned take out Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, which, by the way, that one's maybe number one with a bullet.
With a bullet. Automatic one is clearly the Niners because
they've done it with like 4 different quarterbacks.
Year after year with Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, Brock Purdy in season. Jimmy Garoppolo in season. Trey Lance in season. I mean, there are plenty of examples. Matt Ryan with Kyle Shanahan, even in Atlanta. So we know, the Niners is an offense. You can plug in Sam Darnold, who's their number 2 quarterback right now. I actually think Sam Darnold probably would be decent this year, as crazy as you would think that is.
Stop.
No?
Stop.
In that offense, Sam Darnold will be much better. He'll be much better quarterback. This is why when we discuss young quarterbacks that get drafted, look, there's the really special ones like Mahomes and Burrow and Allen. They could have got drafted anywhere, and they all would be great. But then there's some guys that are middle-tier quarterbacks or bottom 10, and I do believe if they end up in San Fran instead or in Kansas City, then we're having a different feeling about those particular quarterbacks. I absolutely believe that can happen if we're talking about the non-automatic just studs. Like Andrew Luck would have been great anywhere, okay? Tom Brady, would have been great anywhere.
Yeah, but I think a lot of this, it does 2 things for me. One tells me how I really feel about the Chiefs offense. That if we gave them a middle-tier quarterback, let's call him Derek Carr. Derek Carr is the most middle-tier quarterback of middle-tier quarterbacks. He is firmly in the middle. There are much worse quarterbacks. There are much better quarterbacks. He's mostly been fine. If Derek Carr were in the Chiefs offense, they'd be fine. They'd score some points, but they would take a significant slide down. The offenses that stand out to me is like Detroit. Detroit might have better overall weapons than Kansas City because we cannot spend as much time as we have bagging on Jared Goff and then tell me that if Jared Goff was gone, and they were on this list, that they wouldn't still be a very good offense. They were one of the best offenses in the NFL last year with Jared Goff.
So they list Philly, they list San Francisco, they list Detroit.
Philly's a little unfair.
Seattle, we can get to them in a second. Cincinnati, and they actually didn't list Kansas City, but whatever. That's ridiculous to me still. We saw with Alex Smith still how
it's the Andy Reid effect. Yeah, largely.
Seattle, I don't get the Seattle thing. So I'll give Pete Carroll credit, defensive-minded head coach though. And we all, when they traded Russell Wilson, were like, "What do you do? You might as well just get rid of Pete Carroll. What are you doing? Blow the thing up." And to their credit, Geno Smith's credit, they had a great year and they signed a new deal and they look like they could actually maybe win the division this year based on what's going on. But I don't consider Seattle the franchise just because Geno Smith came in there and had success. I don't think now we can just say, man, any quarterback can go in there and have success. I know that seems weird because Geno did it for 1 year. I got to see another year of it to believe that. I don't think Seattle's this for a team that has a defensive-minded head coach. Think about all the other teams we mentioned. San Francisco, offensive-minded head coach.
Pete Carroll's
Eagles. Pete Carroll's defense. Eagles offense-minded head coach.
It's hard to remember
Detroit
that
Lions have a defensive-minded head coach, but they got Ben Johnson, who's this up-and-coming OC that should be a head coach. And Seattle, defense. And Cincinnati has Zach Taylor, an offensive-minded guy.
I think that this speaks a lot to the weapons. I don't think Kansas City deserves to be on this list, that if you just took rid of them, that they would show very little. Because if you took Mahomes out of it, would they still be a top 10 offense because of their weapons and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid? Yeah, they were a top 10 offense under Alex Smith. So, and Alex Smith was, by all accounts, a league average quarterback, right? He's a lot like Derek Carr, where he was a perfectly fine quarterback. There was nothing wrong with having Alex Smith, but you certainly could do better on that end. But the teams that you know, Seattle, Detroit, San Francisco, those make sense to me. Those are the teams that if you traded somebody out, unless you're just including the bad teams, and I don't think it really matters based on their weapons. But here's the thing. It's like, I think if you put a real quarterback with Washington, they would be so much better.
Buffalo's not mentioned. Buffalo, defensive-minded head coach. We get back to that. I'm telling you, a lot of these, for me to say that you can just plug in a different quarterback and have...
I want a good offensive
You got to have
system.
an offensive-minded head coach in most cases.
You know who should be included in this? Baltimore. And I know that you're like, well, that's crazy. They have Lamar Jackson. I'm telling you right now.
They have a new OC right now, so I can't say that.
But Harbaugh just...
Defensive-minded guy.
I know, but they
figured it out.
You know what it is? I will never forget and will always give them way more credit because they, in the middle, for all these teams, they're like, we can't just change who we are and we won't move around the quarterback. They, in the middle of an NFL season, went from Joe Flacco, the biggest statue of quarterback in the last 15 years in the NFL.
Joe Flacco.
And switched to an offense led by Lamar Jackson in the middle of the damn year. They completely changed who they were as an identity in the middle of an NFL season, and it didn't even matter.
Yeah, well, Harbaugh is gonna, is one of the better coaches in this league. He's going to go down as one of the better coaches in NFL history when it's all said and done. Not a top 5, but he's going to go down as one of the better coaches in NFL history. It's just tough for me. This is why we've gone over this. If I'm a GM, I'm always going to hire an offensive-minded head coach. Just am. Never going to hire a defensive-minded head coach because even if you give me a great OC, that great OC like Ben Johnson in Detroit, he's going to go become a head coach the very next year.
The text line says Kirk Cousins would make an AFC championship game on the Chiefs. How far down at quarterback are we willing to go to say they could? Let's just say they could make the AFC championship. AFC's loaded too. I just want to remind you of that. And Kirk Cousins has been so bad in the postseason.
Okay, so
I think he might be my line. And I ain't having it with Kirk.
Let's skip further down. So obviously you got Tua. How far could they go with Tua?
They could go to the AFC championship game.
Matthew Stafford.
I don't know about that one, Tua.
He took Alex Smith
here's a tricky one now.
Doorstep.
A tricky one now. Deshaun Watson. I know everybody's very down on him now, but I still think if you told me Deshaun Watson this year was playing in Kansas City, terrible thought.
That'd be
terrible
gross.
thought. Gross.
Gross.
But yeah, the answer is yes. What about Daniel Jones?
No. Just no. Come on.
Yes.
What?
You think Daniel Jones would take the Chiefs to an
draw a
AFC
line.
title game?
Yes.
He's not taking Daniel Jones or Mac Jones. He's not taking the Joneses.
They made the playoffs last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't go to the AFC title
He
game.
got the Giants, a terrible offensive system, to the postseason.
I'll say this.
They have probably better wide receivers in New York than they do in Kansas City.
What about Kenny Pickett? He's interesting.
It's 2/3 of the NFL.
Kenny Pickett with Andy Reid?
No.
I
There's a lot of talk
I would rather
about
roll with Kenny Pickett than Mac Jones. I'll tell you that.
Ugh.
Yeah, I haven't seen as much failure, so I
That's
just
what
take
it is.
my
That's what
chance.
it is.
Yeah.
Then we don't even go down to the bottom ones. Guys like Baker and Colt
They're
McCoy.
not taking. He's not taking Baker.
And
Okay.
Desmond Ritter.
I do think that they would make the playoffs with Baker. I don't think there's a single starting quarterback in the NFL the Chiefs couldn't make the postseason with. That includes his guy Brian Hoyer, or whatever. If Jimmy G doesn't start, I don't think there's a single.
Brian Hoyer could take the Chiefs to the postseason.
He's too good at this point. Andy Reid was successful with Kevin Kolb. He was successful with McNabb and Alex Smith, and I just haven't seen him fail that much. It's hard for me to imagine that he wouldn't have success with them. Like Doug Peterson made Nick Foles successful for the second half of an NFL season. Yep. I think Andy is just one of those guys. He would, if you forced him to have like Geno Smith the way Pete Carroll did, he would find a way to make Geno Smith look really good. That's just Kirk Cousins would have the best season of his career under Andy Reid, presumably.
Well, yeah, again, my feeling of Kirk Cousins. I think he still is. He gets crushed more than anybody else for sometimes no reason.
It's because he's a dork.
Fine, admit that. Can people?
I
appreciate you admitting that. Can other people admit that more? Can other people just say that? Because I actually think Kirk Cousins is pretty damn decent as an NFL quarterback, and people talk like he is trash. No,
he's like embarrassing and dorky and cringy, and you're just like, oh god.
Kirk Coach Haynes.
I want to know if by the time this little NFL quarterback Netflix show, which starts July 12th, by the time that's done and Kirk Cousins is featured in it along with Mahomes, I wonder if people will look at Kirk Cousins a little bit differently. I wonder if you'll have new feelings about Kirk Cousins by the time we get to the start of the season after this Netflix show. Because in the clip, it talks about his wife making fun of him for dressing like a dad and all this kind of stuff.
And wearing the chain.
I
and
think he leans into it. So I think it's part. I think people will like Kirk Cousins more. I don't know how I've become this big Kirk Cousins supporter in Kansas City, but
You've decided to be the biggest Kirk Cousins Kansas City defender?
I guess so.
Someone says they don't think Justin Fields would take the Chiefs to the playoffs. I mean, he did only win 3 games last year. I'd be definitely on the fence there. But God, Andy.
Do you think they'd be running QB sneaks with Justin Fields?
Have to.
You have to.
Have to.
No, I'm joking because obviously we know they will not do it with Patrick Mahomes.
What's the most run-heavy quarterback offense? Oh, Vic. He had Vic. Nah, Andy figured it out. I was like, wait, what? Does Andy really have like a true, like elite rushing level quarterback? And then I remembered that he had Michael Vick, and yeah, the answer is yes. You ought to use that inhaler.
You might. Yeah, I think it's time, bud. I think it's time.
Is it just coughing, or do I need the inhaler?
And honestly, even if some unfortunate event happens to where Blaine Gabbert has to start this entire season, I think they can take Blaine Gabbert and he could take them to the Chiefs to the postseason. I think that could honestly be happen.
Well, how early on in the season?
Say week 5.
So they're what, 5-0?
4-1, 5-0.
At least 4-1 or 5-0. Yeah, I think Blaine Gabbert could take this team. Yes.
Yeah. Now, if you told me that we knew
beginning of the season, no.
But I mean, honestly, I think I would take Blaine Gabbert over Chad Henne any day, and I love Chad Henne.
You always go back to Bill Belichick managing to get Matt Castle there. This is quite the apparatus you were getting ready to use for the.
You told me.
What's their whole secondary piece?
It's called an extender. They gave. It's called a.
It's your buddy system.
It was actually more money than the inhaler, if you want to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put other stuff in there?
Like what?
Like what, Cody?
Yeah. Please.
Other things you might inhale. That's all.
Like what?
No, but it's supposed to. It's 1 to 2 puffs every 4 hours, or when needed.
This looks like you're getting ready to hit a pipe.
The video stream today is.
That's anyone wants to pull the clip of this for later. It's. You should say. That's exactly what it looks like. I hope somebody's watching on the video stream right now as Gold uses his inhaler. You're falling apart, man. And then you're laughing after. It just makes it even seem more that way.
No, it's yeah.
Oh, it's the job.
It works.
Yeah. You feeling better?
It works like very quickly, and not that.
Yeah, it just takes away all the spasms in your chest, right? My wife uses an inhaler sometimes.
It's just for tightening, and I've never had to use one before. And hopefully after this week I won't have to.
Maybe this will be the last time ever, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just to break things up, to make things.
Whatever
it makes you breathe, and that's what you need it for.
I'm not out of breath going up the stairs. That's all. Because of this damn respiratory infection thing.
Okay, so one of the things we know, we're talking about whether or not the quarterback was in there. We have openly admitted that the biggest scare factor for the offense going forward is, what if one day Travis Kelce isn't there? Well, he did an interview with Vanity Fair and admitted to the things that we all know. But you know what? As much as I think a headline wants to try to make this seem like it's a bad thing, Kelce knows and doesn't care based on the way I read this. Travis Kelce in an interview said, quote, "It makes you think you're being taken advantage of," in talking about how he knows he's underpaid. He said his managers and agents will have these conversations with him and he'll say like, God, I want to make more money. I want more money. How do I get there? And they will say things to him like, quote, "Why don't you just talk to the Chiefs and ask them?" The most logical answer ever. And seeing the Tyreek Hill do is like, wow, that's triple what I'm making right now. That's what he's making. Travis Kelce has realized he is underpaid. He is an underpaid player, and everybody knows it. But he said, quote, "I'm like the free market looks fun until you go somewhere and you don't win. I love winning. I love the situation I'm in, and I'm making enough money right now." So as much as the headline for this might scare you, that Travis Kelce woke up this morning and all of a sudden realized he's underpaid, and he is grossly underpaid for the contributions he makes to this team, he doesn't care. Everybody, someone give the team a discount, guy. Travis Kelce's got you covered.
Well, I laughed when I heard those comments because we know it wasn't too long ago that Mike Florio was writing like how basically he feels terrible for Patrick Mahomes, right? And how, you know, Mahomes, it's what do you say? It's robbery or something along those lines, the Mahomes deal. Is he okay with this too? Is he freaking out about these quotes from Vanity Fair? Like, basically, no. I get we talk contracts all the time with players, and we're talking Chris Jones extension and all that. If the player's fine with it, and Kelce is, and the player recognizes the money he's made,
and the team understands that and is telling him those things,
the team gets it, and also he now is chasing legacy, wants to win. We're talking about Travis Kelce as well. Then why are we so concerned if somebody's underpaid or not? Mike Florio in particular, I'm talking about. You know,
Well, nobody seems to be making that big of a deal about it, or as big of a deal about it for Travis Kelce, but they should. Like, you know what it is? It makes me this sounds silly, bringing it back to Mahomes. It's another reason why I'm thankful for Patrick Mahomes. Because the way Travis Kelce talks about winning and the way he talks about these things, I want you to remember that these comments would have been viewed a lot more differently during the Alex Smith era. Because we would have viewed it as one day Travis Kelce's not going to be here, or one day Travis Kelce's going to say, I don't care about all these nice things I've done for you. Show me the bag. All of it. I want every damn penny of this. But Patrick Mahomes started showing up, and they started doing truly special things from a winning perspective. And that's what makes this is what helps, in my opinion, let this roll off the back of Travis Kelce. He did also say, by the way, speaking of what you were doing earlier with your inhaler, he did say he thinks like 80% of the league uses weed, which feels right.
Yeah, you said 50 to 80% of the league he believes uses cannabis. And yeah, I'm sure. Remember, they're basically making it, for a while they changed the window of the testing, and now it's like, okay, it's not something like everywhere else. The stigma, I guess, the view towards it has just changed so much. More and more states have obviously legalized it, and the leagues, the NBA was the first league, I think, to just say, yeah, we're done. We're kind of done testing with it. So yeah, that's probably about right. I wouldn't be surprised. 80% might be a little high, but it's probably north of 50. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and he would know. He's in the locker room with these guys, hanging out with these.
80% is probably not high.
He's hanging out with these guys.
It might be 50% of people in Kansas City. I don't think it's 80% of the NFL.
50%
of the people you know, how many people do you think
you're asking
at least occasionally use it?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Even you a couple of times.
I don't smoke.
Pop an edible.
Yeah, I don't smoke.
He didn't say smoke. He just said use weed.
Yeah, I don't smoke. But I'll use gummies occasionally. Yeah,
we know Kramer gets high
all the time.
Matter of fact,
Kramer
every single
lot earlier today,
oh man,
before the show
asking
started.
for pills.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Again, I got like 5 prescriptions yesterday for this damn respiratory thing, and Kramer was asking if they gave me any pain medication as well. I said no pain meds.
Look, if I get some like pain meds here soon, I'll share one with you, Kramer. I don't care.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Cody.
I just look back to like the pre real pill problem in this country and realized how easy it would have been for me because I had like knee trouble one time, and they were prescribing me 40 pills a week with an unlimited refill. And you're like,
I mean, the text line's,
that would be a problem.
The text line's right. I mean, there's studies behind this, right? Like if you're talking about the addiction to pain pills for some athletes in their career, like, and this is why
this is better. The NFL's actually started doing studies on it.
Yeah, this is why there has been plenty of reports and studies on for those that deal with chronic pain and the difference, obviously, talking about opioids versus
the anxiety that might come with being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Next is
ayahuasca. I think it's
if Aaron Rodgers has his way.
I think it's not only Ricky Williams who was at the forefront of it years and years ago, but I believe Jake Plummer has his own.
He has his own.
He grows mushrooms. Doesn't he grow like mushrooms? Yeah. So there's all of that.
Adam Pac-Man Jones.
Someone says Gold felony confession.
It's legal in the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
Gold only uses it when in Missouri.
Yeah, I buy it in Missouri, and I just stay in Missouri when I use it.
It is still a federal crime.
I don't. Well, yes, that's why you have to pay.
It's supposed to be disclosed.
Cash. That's why you can't use a debit or credit card. We all know this. If you've ever been to a dispensary, they got ATMs in there for a reason. You can't pay with a card.
Most of the time, the ATMs are not working.
Oh,
have you been running into this problem? You could just do it the old-fashioned way and get a dealer.
Oh, they're talking about the federal crime.
Go to a bank, get money out.
They're talking about the crime that Cody admitted to, which is sharing pain meds. That's what they're. That's not the weed.
I just said I would. I didn't say I have.
I never asked from you.
I just said I would hypothetically do it. In fairness, so
and I would hypothetically.
Man, Kramer earlier admitted to leaving the scene of an accident. Okay. I mean, there's been a lot of. There's been a lot of stuff going on already today on the show. Man, oh, man. Luckily, all our coworkers and our bosses, they're all outside at some company thing that's going on during our show. So they're definitely not listening today.
They're playing pickleball out there. I'm kind of jealous. I want to play. Yeah. They scheduled this party, no big deal, from 11 to 2.
11 to 3, guys. Let's get it right. I helped schedule the party, and I'm up here.
11 to 2, we're kind of busy as a group.
That's fair.
I think we should do like.
Kramer, you gonna go down and grab some hamburgers?
Yeah, can we get some cheeseburgers?
I'll text my guy Nivens. I'll text my guy Nivens.
He looked, if you don't listen to 98.9 The Rock in your free time in the afternoon after this show.
He might be joining us Friday on the show.
Jason Nivens is in full grilling guy
black
attire.
Tank top.
Bucket hat.
Uh-huh.
He had a spatula in his hand.
He was prepping the burgers last night even for today.
I'm borderline surprised he didn't have like that utility belt full of like the condiments.
Someone says they pay with, sorry to change the subject. Someone says they have a medical card in Missouri and they pay with their debit card every time. Is it different for medical? All I know is Cody can witness this. We were in Phoenix. We had to pull out money from an ATM at a dispensary.
Indeed.
And when I was in Colorado, I had to have cash. So I don't know if that's a medical marijuana thing versus a record thing.
Not sure.
I've paid for debit card in Colorado.
Yeah. Then you got someone very upset with us. Sports? No. Let's talk weed and men's physiques.
Wait. And WASP. Did we talk? Is this just like generally about the show, or is this like today? I don't remember
Some
talking
guy
about WASP.
very upset with us right now. Very upset. So much so he had to text in.
This was because of a Travis Kelce interview in Vanity Fair that we're even discussing this. And you said something about how it relates to football. So pretty close.
Yeah. Well, how about that? That's
Sports
how we tie
adjacent, at the very least.
Oh, someone says you can use a debit card, can't use a credit card. Oh, and the person says they're joking. So there we go. We're all good. Got you caught up.
Okay, great. I think we're all square. We have now officially informed our listening audience how to procure things. Be all set. For the gentleman who asked on the text line, hey, do you guys think about putting the stream on Twitch? It's on Twitch. Don't know where you've been. It's on there every day.
We got a lot of people very experienced, by the way, in the
Yeah, how high is our entire listening audience?
Thanks for the support on the
In the
text line.
clouds, in the clouds.
Thanks
You don't
for the
think
support.
80% of the NFL, 100% of the text line uses apparently?
Yeah, people are saying the exact specifics of how some of the dispensaries operate.
Oh, I look forward to reading up on it while we figure out how to get a cheeseburger from Jason Nivens.
We'll work on that. We will appreciate your text, 913-586-7610. We'll get to what's trending, and we get back into who Cody said has been the face of the Royals over the last 25 years. And no, it's not Salvador Perez.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
It's time to get started on those outdoor summer projects. Here's James and Josiah of American Topsoil. Guys, what are some of the reasons folks might need topsoil this summer?
If you're bumping over stubborn tree roots while mowing the grass, or you find yourself watching your step because of those ankle-twisting holes in the yard, there's a good chance you need some topsoil.
Another important reason folks are calling us this summer is to add topsoil around their foundation.
James, how do I know if I need topsoil around my foundation?
Just as the roof of your home is sloped, the same rule of thumb applies to your foundation. The soil around your house should drain water away to prevent water and structural damage.
Guys, the message is topsoil solves lots of problems from your backyard to your front to your foundation. And American Topsoil can get it done for you fast.
Give us a call at 913-888-SOIL
or online at americantopsoil.com.
Check out their Power Wheelbarrow service where you only pay for the soil that you need. Call 913-888-SOIL or online at americantopsoil.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Baseball season's in full swing, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to join today. Don't miss your chance to snag a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Must be present state where lawful to wager 21 plus in president select states. First online real money wager. Only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms to FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering. Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-888-770-STOP Louisiana. GamblingHelpMA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit mdgamblinghelp.com in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-888-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
It's time to turn up your summertime fun with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea is a smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. So whether you're camping, fishing, or at the beach with friends, don't forget to fill your cooler with those bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
Hey, this is Chris Jones, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
All right, number one on What's Trending, Royals back in action tonight after opening up their series yesterday against the Cleveland Guardians. It was Brady Singer. He threw his first scoreless start, of 2023. The Royals only got 2 hits, so tonight they'll try it against the Guardians again. Austin Cox gets his first start in the big leagues. Been really effective out of the bullpen, so we'll see what he can do as a starter. 7:10 first pitch. Vern's on deck show at 6 o'clock. We'll talk more with Vern coming up at 12:30 for our weekly conversation.
Austin Cox has a chance to give me the most hope I've had for this rotation in 2 years, maybe, because you're on a stretch where Brady Singer is pitching well, Daniel Lynch is pitching well, Austin Cox has pitched well, but he hasn't been a starter yet, so, show me a good start and maybe I can give myself some optimism. It's not perfect, but at least it would give you something to look forward to from a start-to-start standpoint for the Royals going forward. Next up on What's Trending, speaking of the Royals starting rotation, Brad Keller started to start a rehab start today in Double-A. That's big for the Royals in general. They just need arms, Gold, as we well know. So Brad Keller having any chance to kind of get back into the rotation. But as we said, don't feel so rushed to get Brad Keller up if other guys are going to be pitching well for you. Jordan Lyles is pitching a little bit better. We just mentioned the other 3, but Brad Keller at least set to make a rehab start today, hopefully on his mend back for Kansas City.
No, it's a great sign. I mean, in a perfect scenario, rehab goes good. He gets back up to the
Maybe
big league club.
The bullpen if they're doing well.
Well, bullpen, or if they need him to start, he gets a couple starts and looks good, and then he's a trade guy.
Yep.
Then you
He's
can
on the
flip
market
him at the deadline. Next up on What's Trending, we just talked about this a little bit during Chiefs Red Half Hour, but Travis Kelce was interviewed in a wide-ranging profile by Vanity Fair. Talked about quite a few topics, but one of them was interesting when he was discussing his contract. He says, "My managers and agents love to tell me how underpaid I am. And he says, I love winning. Basically, like he's okay. He knows he's underpaid, but he loves winning. He recognizes the legacy aspect of it. You can get paid a lot more money going elsewhere, but are you going to be miserable, missing the playoffs, winning 10 games a year instead of 14, instead of going and celebrating? I just saw a video this morning that came out. Of course, Mahomes had his golf tournament in Hawaii for charity that he does, the 15 of Mahomes Foundation. Travis was there, and Travis was dancing on stage.
He said an Instagram post, I think he bought a house in Hawaii while he was there.
Who did?
Mahomes.
Oh, why not?
I would.
Spoiler,
He's got the money.
Spoiler, he's going to have more than 1, 2, or 3 houses probably, if not already. I would. Why not?
I would too. I would too.
Just finished a new one.
A lot of property tax you got to pay.
I know his current house is on the market.
I know.
You guys want to chip in?
I've
how
seen
many
it.
heroes?
Honestly,
$6.10 from how many people do we need to buy this house?
This
make it the new show house.
This may surprise you, but it's a gorgeous home that he was living in before.
That's what that shoe closet
worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Shoes are one of those things. I almost made it a random question a couple of weeks ago, which is, what is the thing you think you would get into, but you don't think you could pull off? And shoes is it.
Yes. Yeah.
It seems like it'd be cool to have a lot of nice sneakers, but then everyone would be like, Cody, no.
Well, that's the
not
thing.
you.
I saw
somebody else, but not you.
There's a lot of shoes that look really cool, and I'm just like,
if
I would walk in wearing
I'd make
these,
fun of you.
Yeah, because there's some good, there's some really cool ones.
I agree.
And I just kind of know, like this is gonna sound funny. The flashiest color-wise shoes I wear are the Mahomes red ones. That's it. I usually wear white, your Adidas striped white, white or black. Your pretty standard shoe.
Same.
The
guy who did, I'm a little, boy, that's a little.
Now, Cody's pretty soon. Cody's about 2 years away from just wearing New Balances, dad shoes all the time.
I went to the Hokas, man.
Oh, those Reeboks.
I hadn't made a decision.
Cody's got the orthotics in there already.
Well, I'm already there. Next up on What's Trending, Isaiah McKenzie and other players is the way the headline was put by Adam Schefter. Expected to be suspended for a full year. That according to Adam Schefter.
Isaiah Rodgers.
Isaiah Rodgers, sorry, not Isaiah McKenzie. Isaiah Rodgers and other players, according to Adam Schefter, expected to be suspended for a full year this week under the league's gambling policy. Now, who the other players are, I guess, is the most interesting part of this, because they're still being kind of vague, because we know that a bunch of other people got in trouble, because Adam Schefter reported a month ago that there were a number of people they were expected to suspend under the gambling policy, but mum's been the word. Really, all we're hoping for is that the entire Chiefs roster will.
Yeah, and I still think they're in a better spot for that not to happen based on the team facility rule, which we know, these guys, some of them have been in trouble because not only did they bet on their own team, which is an obvious no-no, but in some cases they were betting on other sports while at the team facility or on a team hotel, at a team flight or in a team hotel, which you can't do. And the Chiefs, we know, their facility is located in Missouri, and sports wagering is not legal in Missouri. So they unless they were doing offshore betting, they can't bet on FanDuel or whatever your favorite app is from the facility, even if they wanted to. So I actually think they're going to be okay.
I think so too.
Unless they find out
unless somebody bet on the sport.
Unless they bet on the sport outside the state or when they were at a team hotel during the season or something like that.
I think that, and they called it a handful, so maybe it won't be out of control. But if you really look through it now, that means in the last 2 years, Calvin Ridley, C.J. Moore, Quintez Cephas, Shaka Toney, and now we know most likely Isaiah Rodgers.
Jameson Williams.
Well, that's just for a year. Jameson Williams, Chantley Berryhill, and others are going to miss all this other time. That's a lot of people suspended.
Well,
they suspended for the gambling policy
they
the last 2 years.
have to have strong punishment if you're trying to deter, and hopefully the education part continues to get better within the teams, within the NFL Players Association and agents, making sure their players don't jeopardize their careers and know that, hey, you simply cannot do blank. I think the betting on your own team should have just been obvious, I would have thought. The betting in your own facility, maybe that is something clearly that people didn't know. Hopefully, as this grows, this to me is an issue that has to be educated on down at the collegiate level as well. So hopefully as we get through this cycle, this is still so new, we get through a cycle 5+ years from now, if not less, that it just becomes like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, obviously I can't do that. And everybody knows. And I don't think we're there yet in the NFL. Lastly on What's Trending, don't forget, Cody and Gold Garage Show. We had that last Tuesday. Some of you have already picked up your items. That is going on right now, today and tomorrow. So today till about 2:30, tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 2:30 at Odyssey here in Kansas City, our building, our studio, 7000 Squibb Road.
Correct.
If you want an item, you've got an email already. Should have some details on what you're supposed to do. It's pretty simple. We've had plenty of people be able to pick up their items already. If you have experiences, we've reached out, and that's obviously not something you're picking up. But thank you to those of you that have done that. There's like 4 of you that have not paid. If for some reason you just forgot, all good, but there's like 4 of you that have not paid for your items, obviously you can't pick those up. So just
we'll be sending
wrap that
Kramer
up.
out with that mini bat.
Yep, Kramer's
Straight
going
at
to
your
be
knees if you don't
knocking
pay.
on some doors.
Works for me.
Muscle. We're sending out muscle.
Knocking on some doors, no
It
matter
works
how
for
big,
me.
no matter how big the dollar amount is or not.
Him and Sam Stevie, pair of
Yeah.
like tall guys who like to work out. That feels like a good strategy for muscle.
We could be bouncers.
And we will send out, if for some reason you can't pick it up the next 2 days, we will be sending out future dates, as Gold mentioned, 4 other pickup opportunities. Next week's just a disaster with who's here. So
Holidays,
it won't
man.
be next week.
We don't have a show Monday or Tuesday next week.
It'll be in a couple of weeks from now
4th
that
of
we're
July,
able to
man.
do that.
Snuck up on you, huh?
Yeah,
4th of
sure
July.
did.
This
This month went by so quick.
This is what happens though. For I remember, it's more of a challenge when you were in school and you knew once you got to 4th of July, then the summer just really flies by. Now it's not as big of a deal because you're like, well, you're not on summer break, you're working. But yeah, it's crazy. We're about to be already to 4th of July.
Sneaks up on you, man.
All about the fireworks. Fireworks Friday this Friday at the K.
When's the last time you lit a firework?
Last year.
It's been so long for me.
Last year.
Years.
A couple days ago.
Couple of days. Kramer, come on, man. I thought we all agreed I will give you a couple of days before the 4th of July and a couple of days after the 4th of July. That's it. That's the window for fireworks. You don't get a month.
It was a bottle rocket. Used it with my joint I lit up.
Oh, you're doing bottle. Okay, you're in the bottle rocket. Okay.
Kramer's out here getting dehydrated, drinking, using bottle rockets. Are you 14?
Hey, it's the mindset.
That's what's trending.
I'm not about that life.
I definitely will buy some fireworks. I don't buy as many as I used to. I used to spend a decent amount of money in the past. Now I just buy a few little things and that's it.
If somebody else shoots them off, I'll look. They look cool, but
Well, sure.
I don't spend
You don't
any
spend
money.
a dime anymore? I mean, you literally are lighting money on fire.
Well, and
But,
my kids are little enough that I'm not
that
going to
point.
trust them with a firework. Okay? Let's just be honest.
Oh,
They're
yeah, do
foreign.
you get the little snappers at least?
Yeah,
They've had those, I guess, somewhere along the way.
You gotta get little snappers or the little snakes that stain your concrete. Those are great.
Like
'cause
my
they ruin
parents
your
were,
concrete.
my parents were horribly irresponsible, or at least my mom would, like when I was like 8 or 9, she'd bring home, like someone at her work would make homemade M80s.
Oh, hell no.
And we would just
Kramer's
like
shaking his head.
Here's like a Ziploc bag
he's
full of
nodding his
homemade
head.
M80s.
Was this you?
And you're like, that's definitively how my mom would act. Oh, by the way, as a kid, awesome, loved it. They're way more powerful than the normal versions of ones, it turns out, because there's no regulatory body making sure that they're safe.
Water bottle. I get some not M80s. The mortars. Open
Oh,
those bad boys up. Pack that water bottle. Tie it
Yeah,
with
I mean,
duct
I
tape.
have a buddy that's made like the sparkler bombs before or whatever. And yeah.
We lit the fuse once inside the house when we were younger. There was nothing attached, but the fuse was lit at one point. My brother's an idiot. And I'll throw him under the bus for that. And oh my gosh, our basement smelled like it was like the 4th of July, just from a fuse.
There's something about white trash 4th of July, man, that is
Okay, now let me at the white trash people in St. Joe. Why not? Go for it. I'm from St. Joe.
I'm
Yeah, call
lumping
me white
myself
trash.
into this.
Wow.
I'm lumping myself into
Wow.
this. Dude, and so the bag of M80s would always come with one really big one, and you're like, okay, what gigantic thing are we going to blow
Throw
up
that
with this?
bad boy in the sewer.
I'm lucky I had both
Which is
arms.
So great.
Don't do that. Now that's, dude, you might, if the gas is in there and you throw that in there, oh man, you
What are
don't.
you talking about? People put firecracker. Again, obviously, you're not supposed to
Yeah,
do
you're not
this.
supposed to
but
because,
but people, and it's bad for the environment. But people put the firecrackers inside the sewer in your cul-de-sac or whatever because
good.
the reverb or whatever. It happens every year. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying we've all been there, and it's bad for the streams and rivers and fish and the ecosystem and all that.
Get the ground wet a little bit and
You ever
put
thrown
the
those,
bottle
like-
rocket in there and light it, and the ground will like explode a little bit.
You ever throw those like half stick of dynamites?
No.
That's fun too. Again, not safe.
So anyway,
I'm
happy 4th
lucky
of
to be
July next week.
alive for the most part through childhood.
Happy 4th of July. Again, Cody went around and destroyed mailboxes, so at least he was smart enough not to put fireworks in mailboxes because that seems a little more problematic.
But
That's like
we used to
big
take
time crime.
We used to take. No.
Very big time crime.
Wait.
Well, go ahead. Well,
What's the
basically, like,
stat-
you're putting
what's the statute of
you're
limitations on any of
basically
this?
like putting bombs in mailboxes is definitely a problem.
I feel like you're a guy that also used the baseball bat to hit.
Oh, we definitely did that.
He did.
I've
You
been
went-
arrested for that.
I couldn't do that because I'm left-handed, so that'd be awkward.
You got out the other window. No, we used to. Oh man,
You're driving on the wrong side of the road.
Again, does anyone know what the statute of limitation is on like minor crimes?
No.
Am I allowed to admit this 20 years
Cody,
later?
just talking. And
It's
just
20
tell
minutes.
us.
Yeah.
We used to. So we'd fill these 20 ounce bottles, right?
Okay.
Of with a good gasoline, and you would put a torn up sock into it like a wick, and you'd put them in those plastic.
I mean, Molotov cocktails?
No, because they just melt. You'd put them in those like rubber mailboxes. If you light the end, they
melt.
slow burn and they just like melt down into a pile of plastic on the ground. Hypothetically, I may have seen somebody do that before, or near me, or
Or you're the one that's actually lighting it?
I'm not admitting to any of that based on the way this conversation and the amount of crimes this show has admitted to today.
Coming up in about 5 minutes or so, we'll get into an issue that you think is not being talked about enough, actually, when it comes to the stadium project and the locations for the downtown or near downtown stadium for the Royals. And we know John Sherman's going to speak tomorrow at 9:30. You'll hear that right here on 610 Sports Radio. But you were thinking about the last really 20 years or so of Royals baseball, and no, it's not Salvador Perez being the face of it. You think someone else has actually been the face of fandom in Kansas City.
I think it's Zach Greinke, and not for good reasons, unfortunately. Here's the problem right now is Zach Greinke reminds me everything about why I want to love the Royals every single day, whether my favorite team growing up, and why they frustrate the hell out of me. Zach Greinke is exactly all of it. Zach Greinke was a part of the single biggest trade in Royals history that led to a World Series championship that brought us joy. Zach Greinke has also been the best player on a miserably bad team. He's been the best starting pitcher on another really bad team this year. And it just seems like it's this cycle of, I want you to be good, because when Zach Greinke's great and we're all out there and we're watching him pitch Cy Youngs, or when I'm excited he's coming back to the K, he's everything I love about being a Royals fan. And he represents 20 years of futility. They have never even been a passably decent team, pretty much, under Zach Greinke's tenure here in Kansas City.
So
they've just been bad. Just bad. The entire time Zach Greinke's been here, even though he has been a Hall of Fame caliber player. And it just speaks to all of this, like when they were a minor league system. He's like the face of my frustrations.
It's weird.
Even though he's my favorite Royals player of all time.
For someone that's had a Hall of Fame career, he wasn't part of any of the winning teams. Now you only had 2014 and 2015 really to do that. And we know, in a way, it's weird because he was part of that in my mind to a certain extent, because we all know about the trade to Milwaukee and what the Royals were able to acquire. And if without that Zach Greinke trade, we're having a different conversation, I think, about 14 and 15. And again, that doesn't happen without him. So, yeah, he wasn't the pitcher in the rotation in 14 and 15. He was elsewhere. But that trade, he still has played such a crucial role in those fondest memories that we have in Royals baseball. But yeah,
your fond memory should not be he won a Cy Young in the middle of a team who won 64 games.
Yeah,
that's what life of a Royals fan is a lot of times. It's, wow, I love Vinny Pasquantino. You get a joke about it, right? Like, what a player! He's so fun. I like him being around. And it's just like surrounded by a team that at the time had probably like 7 wins. I'm sick of cheering for I'm sick of cheering for the person or a good player on a bad team, which is Zach Greinke's entire existence.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, though. I think with Kansas City and how we are as sports fans, obviously we want a winner. Everybody's fed up and has the right to be fed up about where this baseball team has been for many years now. But we also, I think, in Kansas City are always going to be more attached to the player.
Yeah.
That's a Kansas
just
City
how we
thing.
are as a
That's a
way.
Midwest
Yeah,
thing. That's a Kansas City thing with sports. We are more attached to our star athletes than in some other markets. I'm not saying Kansas City is the only one, but it's a different feeling. Some of it's just being in a smaller city versus being in New York City
or LA or
so
Boston.
I think that what you're saying, I agree with you. I think some of it is always going to be more than the team. I think you're going to have that attachment. I mean, look, Lorenzo Cain came back, as we all know. We saw how cool that ceremony was. Yes, he won a championship, but people were attached to the player as well. Mike Moustakas comes back. Yes, he won a championship with this team, but people were attached at that time to him and Hosmer before they won in 2015.
They love the player.
Just that ride that you go on. But it was really about the player as well, part of that journey. So
it's why people still don't want to trade Salvador Perez.
Absolutely, and this is what shouldn't be a challenge. It's what shouldn't be a challenge if you're making the decisions, you can't let that get in the way. But unfortunately, yeah, that's why I think so many people in Kansas City versus if Salvador Perez was in the exact same scenario in, we'll just call it Texas with the Rangers
been gone 2 years
or
ago.
with the Atlanta Braves. Yes, he would have. Also, a lot of players would have been gone probably 2 years ago.
But it's also it's honestly one of the underrated challenges that the Royals face. Your fandom makes it harder for them to operate as a unit. Dane Moore, was about family and wanted to protect his players and didn't want to just trade guys. He was certainly part of it. But part of the reason he is that way is because the way fans act in this city, when you trade away players they don't even have to be future Hall of Famers like Zach Greinke. Fans were upset in this town when Mark Teahan was gone, right? And I love Mark's a great dude. Mark Teahan had a 7-year MLB career in which he had 40 doubles once, right? He's a really nice guy. He had a perfectly fine major league, a lot better career than some other people had. He's a fun person to be around, and we're like, no, don't leave us, Mark, please. We're begging. I got asked once. We had the big video board thing here for they were going to put us on the video board, and be like, hey, what is your favorite Royal? Just because we're part of the Royals.
We all recorded these. I don't know if it ever made it on the Jumbotron or not. I said Lorenzo Cain.
Before and Lorenzo Cain's a perfectly great answer. He was on the World Series team. He's up there for a top 5 players of all time. The first answer I gave was Mark Teahan, just because I thought Mark Teahan is one of my favorite. He's not my favorite player ever, but he's one of my favorite players. Someone's like, hey, I'm not going to let you make a joke of it. I'm like, I'm not kidding. I actually love Mark Teahan as a player. That's just who we are as a fandom, and it just runs into all this stuff. Meanwhile, by the way, we were talking about John Sherman's still scheduled to talk tomorrow at 9:30, which you can hear live right here on 610 Sports Radio. Fesco in the Morning is planning on playing that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I did think of one issue that we haven't talked about as a show, at least, from the stadium perspective, that I feel like is a huge hang-up in the North Kansas City site. I've told you I'll be fine with either. I think I prefer the downtown idea to the North Kansas City site just because I want downtown baseball.
As do I.
But I think North Kansas City can be cool. I see all the advantages in it. I see how they could really make it work, right? But there's a massive issue that we're not talking about. Kansas City, the city, and the team have already admitted that they need hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure work near downtown in order to make a downtown stadium work in the city. Just out of curiosity, how much more are you going to need to make it work in North Kansas City? Have you driven through there lately? It's a 2-lane road through one of the 2 major roadways. One is a 2-lane road for half of it, towards the area, by the way, that the downtown stadium would be. And the other is a 4-lane road, so 2 on either side for a majority of it, that is already filled with stoplights and busier than you would want it to be at heavy traffic times. I don't know why, and I guess I'm curious to see if Sherman talks about this tomorrow. How are you going to make the infrastructure work in the North Kansas City site is a very big question I have.
So I think it's fair. I would say kind of how when we've discussed parking in general, right? Anytime there's projects, everybody freaks out about parking.
Where am I going to park?
Yeah. If they build a stadium in North Kansas City, they're not building that complex, and people have no way to get in and out. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, I think they would figure it out, but the dollar amount is the question. Is it $200 million in infrastructure if it was downtown KC? What's the number if it's in Clay County and North KC? Now, North Kansas City, I think, is very eager and obviously all in on this approach, and they might be willing to pony up more. But yeah, I agree. Obviously, there would have to be infrastructure improvements at the North KC side as well. No doubt. Of course.
Bigger than downtown,
either
right?
site. I don't know for a fact.
Would you need full-blown new highway access?
Without having knowledge of the full egress, ingress plans or whatever, I would think so, but I don't claim to be an expert on that. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I think I would agree with you. But overall, I still believe downtown Kansas City is where this thing, Kansas City, Missouri is where this thing ends up. But I think North Kansas City definitely can continue to give it a hell of a shot here.
The text line saying 0 chance of North Kansas City happening. It's not 0, man. I'm not telling you that it's the favorite, and it shouldn't be. And if we were handicapping this, Gold, like you were a sports book, I'd say even though it's one of the 2 sites remaining, it's 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, right, that North Kansas City site gets chosen over the site that I think has been the site for the last 2 years. Right. I think North Kansas City is a late horse to this race. I think that they were looking at 4 downtown sites before North Kansas City entered this conversation.
Yeah, and I think they found I know they're saying they're taking it very seriously, the North KC side, and I'm sure we'll hear some of that from John Sherman tomorrow. I still think this was a site that, yes, they're taking seriously, but also it provides them a little bit of leverage against Jackson County, which they did not have until there was another site in a different county and in a different city. And that's also why you take North Kansas City seriously.
You have to. I mean, in this city alone, you should just, like you said, because Sporting did the same thing. Sporting was just doing it to flirt, and then it was like, ooh, you're going to make me do this. Like, I'll be honest, many people have been in this stage in their job where you, threaten to leave and you have an offer and you're like, I'll take this other job. And you're like, I'm not going to take this other job. I'm just saying this. You're like, I'll do it. You're like, don't worry, guys. I'm not going to take this job. And then they're like, do it. I dare you. And you're like, oh, my God, I guess I'm taking this other job. That wasn't my plan. How did I fall into this?
Because we know the Bannister site was the favorite to land Sporting, and it obviously did not happen. They dropped the ball a little bit, to say the least, and ended up out in KCK, and the rest is history with that. So that's why, it's not a 0% chance for North KC. We'll talk more about this with Vern. Someone had a good point. They said if you could ask John Sherman, we will not be at the press conference. We're carrying it live. We obviously have a show at 10. If you could ask him one question, what's the one question you would ask him tomorrow?
I want if he's forced to answer, I want the exact dollar amount you're asking.
I think that's probably number 1 or 2 for everybody. For me, also, like just it's not the first question, but I also
want the
would love
exact
to know
dollar amount. Percentage have been thrown around, but I want the number.
Yeah, I think that's probably the question everybody wants the answer to, other than the site officially, which I don't think we're going to get tomorrow. The other one for me is I would like an honest answer. Has this process, based off of what's gone on the field as well, is getting the project done and getting the stadium already more challenging than you thought it would be?
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
And Mike, I don't know how the answer can't be yes. I mean, they didn't think it was going to be a
or
walk in
the
the
park.
park.
If you thought it went to a vote today, do you think it'd pass?
Well, that too. Yeah.
If it was on a ballot tomorrow, do you think this would pass?
Yeah, no, it's a great question as well. I'm assuming that will be a question that gets asked tomorrow at 9:30 when John Sherman addresses the media out at the Hall of Fame building there at the K.
I want to know if Crown Vision's going to be there. I want the
here's
big
the thing. Don't worry about that
This
stuff
goes
yet.
back to the player thing. Kansas City loves nostalgia. We love like a
crown.
Western
You want the
Union
crown?
sign.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're not alone on that.
They'll
People want the
incorporate it in
People
some
want the
way.
fountains and crown. That's down the road when the renderings are once they get all that stuff. I'm not worried about the in stadium elements yet. Once they get the site and the dollar amount and the past and all that, then we can get done there. But yeah,
I don't think it needs to pass today because they're not going to a ballot today. They'll have all the time to do the run up of this is why you should vote for it. They just need more clear messaging. That's our largest thing.
Hopefully that happens
You and
tomorrow.
I both say we want downtown baseball. I love Kauffman. It's a great stadium. I want downtown baseball. If you've been to enough stadiums that are in downtown,
it's great.
You would know why it is so appealing, why it makes sense, why I don't want to be down next to the burnt down Denny's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just have questions
Shout out
about what
Taco
the
Bell.
plan is. Shout out Taco Bell and the Minute Mart and I guess the Subway. The 3 remaining of the 4 available options. And I get it. Gates is not like
I
you
saw
can drive
something
5 or
that- I
10
saw
minutes. It isn't
something
too
that,
far away, but right next to the stadium, there's almost nothing.
I saw something that Casey's was buying out a bunch of the Minute Marts, so that might be a Casey's at some point.
Get some breakfast
I saw
pizza.
in the your favorite, my favorite, Casey Business Journal had an article about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's all the Minute Mart locations, but yeah.
Better scoop up
Could
that
be-
one.
could be a
Hot
Casey.
commodity real estate over there.
Could be
Hot commodity commercial real estate right by Kauffman, You'd hate to miss out.
Coming up next, we'll talk some baseball, some more stadium with Josh Vernier, our Royals Insider.
Cody and Gold.
Would I rather have my ween slammed in a car door? Or would I rather have my fingernails ripped off with a pair of needle-nose pliers? I don't know. I can't decide.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey, it's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here. Do you remember how cold it got this winter? Well, it was a chilly one. And if you notice the cold air pouring through those old leaky windows, well, guess what? When it gets hot this summer, the exact opposite is going to happen. All of that cool air is going to escape through those leaky windows, and that hot air is going to come in. So I'm telling you right now to replace those old windows and keep your house cool this summer with the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs over at Window World. Their windows are one of 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So pick up the phone right now and call this number for a free home estimate, 816-799-0820. And they can show you how they are simply the best for less. Remember this phone number, 816-799-0820, or check out the website, windowworld.com.
Celebrate this 4th of July with good friends, great food, and a little help from Hy-Vee. Your perfect holiday cookout starts with the highest quality hand-trimmed beef, specialty brats, or Hy-Vee's famous chicken grillers. Top it off with fresh and ready side dishes and a sweet treat from the bakery. Rather not prep, cook, and hassle with all the cleanup? Let Hy-Vee Catering do the work. It's easy, delicious, and affordable. Just one stop to create a bang this holiday at Hy-Vee, voted Kansas City's best grocer.
Hey, it's Kling. Wednesday is an awesome day at Hy-Vee for steak lovers. I took advantage of the first week at my neighborhood store at 135th and Antioch because it's 4 for $24 steak night. Wednesdays, we can get 4 tender, delicious Kansas City strip steaks for just $24. I even asked for some recommendations on seasoning at the meat counter, and they're always helpful with that. And don't forget the side dishes. I grabbed some twice-baked potatoes and some baked beans. So go in on Wednesdays for 4 for $24 steak night, only at Hy-Vee.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the charts, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over as long as 5 years with special financing, or save up to $5,000 on the spot. It's our best finance offer ever and our most aggressive pricing. Fine jewelry has never been more affordable, but this amazing offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Red, white, and dew savings are happening now at the Home Depot. Prep for all the summer guests and gatherings with up to 60% off select patio sets now at the Home Depot. Shop and save on a wide variety of sets and styles to find what suits your patio best for another season of hosting with the most. Find the perfect pieces for your space with up to 60% off select patio sets. So sit back and relax into red, white, and dew savings happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code GOLF. Use code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Red, white, and dew savings are happening now at the Home Depot. Prep for all the summer guests and gatherings with up to 60% off select patio sets now at the Home Depot. Shop and save on a wide variety of sets and styles to find what suits your patio best for another season of hosting with the most. Find the perfect pieces for your space with up to 60% off select patio sets. So sit back and relax into red, white, and dew savings happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
This hour of Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Supplement Superstores with 8 metro locations.
Hey guys, it's Nick. I am ditching the donuts. I am staying away from the chips thanks to 213 Flashpoint. Boost your energy, increase your metabolism, and curb your cravings with 213 Flashpoint. Check it out at any of the 8 Supplement Superstores locations in the KC metro area.
Hanging out here on a Wednesday, it's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tab. We got Kramer filling in, producing all week long. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 12 minutes or so. We all hustled downstairs. The company's got a little, picnic thing going on. Grabbed some burgers, hustled back up here. We were a little worried we wouldn't make it in time, but here we are. We're good. I'll be honest, behind the scenes, we were like, hey, this is perfect. We're going to talk some Royals baseball with Vern. Vern should mess with Cody in particular, just so you know. Whenever Cody asks a question, ask him a follow-up within your own answer, because Cody said, good, when I ask Vern a question, I can take a bite of the burger. So make sure, Vern,
don't do
when we
that.
have Vern join us, he can ask you a question back within his answer. That way you can get caught off guard.
Vern doesn't want me to eat?
No, let's talk to our Royals Insider, Josh Vernier. Of course, you'll hear him tonight, 6 o'clock on deck show as the Royals get set to take on the Cleveland Guardians, and Austin Cox will be making his debut as a starter. Let's start right there. What we've seen from him in the bullpen, how confident, I guess, are you that we could see this replicate itself to a certain extent as a starter?
How confident am I? I'm excited to watch him. I'm certainly not going to say I'm confident that he's going to hold the opposition hitless for the next 40 batters that he faces.
Seems unlikely.
But I'm excited to watch what he does, because to me what he looks like is a guy that's been able to take his time in the minor leagues. Looks like a guy that came up the way that starting pitchers used to come up, really figuring out who you are, finding your confidence, knowing your out pitch, knowing what you do when you find yourself in a corner, right? Nobody out, 2 guys on in scoring position. How do you get out of it? He's dealt with that time in and time out down in the minor leagues. You look at the rest of that 2018 draft class. Singer now deserved the promotion, but the organization needed Brady Singer in Game 2 of that 2020 season, needed Chris Bubic in 2020, had to have Daniel Lynch in 2021. So Austin Cox hasn't banged the door down, obviously, to force the organization's hand, so he's been able to kind of mature and marinate down there in the minor leagues. So I'm excited to see that composure, because to me, the confidence and composure that we've seen from Austin Cox is what's been so impressive of late for Daniel Lynch. It just took him a little bit longer to find it because he's been searching for it at the big league level, while Cox can find it in Omaha.
I mean, I guess from that perspective, this has got to be one of the most optimistic, just generally speaking, I've been about the pitching staff all year. If Singer's going to look good, Lynch is going to look good, and maybe Austin Cox looks good too?
Yeah. The only time you really felt better was like 6 games into the season when Keller and Bubic were pitching well, and now they're both banged up. So, there's – again, this is my hope, honestly. We always talk about the September flirtation that the Royals make with all their fans while they are now focusing on the Chiefs. The – Adalberto Mondesi hits like 400 in September, or Hunter Dozier hits 15 extra base hits in September, and we get all excited for the upcoming season. That September flirtation this year, I would think, is going to be the pitching, whether it's Lynch and Singer and Cox, or if it's the guys a little bit lower in Alec Marsh, Chandler Champlain, a few other names that have been performing well since getting promoted down in the minor leagues. It would be a nice flirtation. Even though a lot of Royals fans won't buy it, it would be nice if the pitching can encourage us going into the offseason.
Other than Barlow and Chapman, who are going to almost assuredly get traded close to the deadline, who else what's the most valuable trade asset that they have in the organization right now? Because we were talking earlier, Cody thinks it might be Michael Garcia.
On the 26-man roster, top to bottom. Daniel Lynch. If a team like the Rays, there's all it takes is one of those Dodgers, Cleveland, upper echelon pitching development organizations to see something in your ability repertoire and say, if we bring you here, we can highlight this and turn you into a stud. So I'm always going to begin with the pitching, and we're talking about how good Daniel Lynch has looked as far as confidence and composure and his mentality. I could make a case for Daniel Lynch, but a shortstop, and that's what Maikel Garcia is. A shortstop with Ronald Acuna's swing, it's hard to argue with him being the most valuable.
When you look at the young players, how do you think that they'll go about it? So JJ openly admitted, which is something I don't think Dayton would have admitted before, where, yeah, sure, I mean, we'd be stupid not to at least entertain trading one of our young players if someone comes in and the price is right. Do you just send out the waves, Vern, and you're like, hey, super high asking price for Singer, Lynch, Garcia, give us a call, and we'll have a conversation. Is that the best way to go about it?
I don't think it needs to be a super high price. I think it just needs to be a fair price. I don't see any of those happening, though, at the deadline. Those, to me, are all off-season moves because at the deadline, it's the other 25 teams, sadly, that are still in it in the rest of Major League Baseball. It's them fighting for that missing piece, and I don't know. I don't think an organization would look at Maikel Garcia or Brady Singer or even Daniel Lynch and say, you're the missing piece for us to grab one of these dozen playoff spots. Certainly not the missing piece, so much so that we're going to part with the type of prospects that J.J. Piccolo should demand for a fair compensation. So really, anyone outside of a veteran player, I don't see it happening outside of an off-season move.
Now, we were talking earlier this week. Of course, Jordan Lyles finally got the win. And
all right.
We opened some champagne.
I heard it.
We did. And if he gets to 6 wins, Cody's buying a bottle of Dom. And I said, absolutely, let's roll with that. Baseball's weird. I think Jordan Lyles is going to rattle off like 3 or 4 wins in the next couple weeks. Could he actually get traded if he does something like that? Because on the surface, I think it sounds crazy. Like, oh, come on, the guy that was 0-11, yada, yada, yada. But
it's a hypothetical, so sure, yeah. If he wins 4 of the next, wins the next 5 and throws 7 innings of shutout baseball, yeah. You never know. Anything is possible.
Okay.
But no, I certainly wouldn't be. I'm not sitting back expecting Jordan Lyles to get red hot. I'm expecting Jordan Lyles to continue to do what he's done, and that is eat up innings, give you a chance to win in about 50% of his starts. He, like so many of these starters, have been let down by their defense. If you start to dive into the ERA compared to the fielding independent pitching, especially with a guy like Brady Singer, you can see how much the defense behind him has let him down. Now, that's coming off a pretty impressive night last night. I thought the infield defense was good, save the error from Bobby, but Maikel Garcia's as cool as they come. Nicky Lopez turns the double play maybe better than any second baseman in the sport, and Nick Prado's solid over there at first. Just need Bobby to make the routine plays look a little bit more routine.
We're talking to Josh Vernier, our Royals Insider. Cody and I were talking earlier about the stadium, and, of course, tomorrow I'm assuming you'll be at that press conference with John Sherman. What are you expecting out of that? Because we know that the message has not been controlled by the Royals. The message has been anonymous sourcing. It's been city leaders in both cities that are being discussed for these sites. What do you think we could learn tomorrow?
I think it's all going to be stadium stuff. You're not going to get a site, I would think. Hopefully you get a date. I'm expecting a date of when they expect it to be on the ballot. And, maybe you start to get a figure. Those kind of go hand in hand, how much we're going to ask you for and when we're going to put it on the ballot. I would think something along those lines, but no, not the site. We know we're down to 2, but I'm expecting him to get grilled and not to say much outside of, maybe the number and, when it goes on the ballot. That's my expectation.
So April then, or do you think that they're going to say November tomorrow and shock us all?
Yeah, I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea. I would think sooner rather than later, but I'm not sure.
I guess a lot of this is, like, for me, like, Vern, what are the 2 things you want to know? Because I think that's different than fans. Maybe I care too much about the actual dollar number because they've said they want some sort of sales tax extension, and I want you to tell me how many hundreds of millions of dollars you want. Like a number, an actual hard number to it. Similar to you saying, hey, we're giving $1 billion to this project. But what do you want to know tomorrow about the stadium deal?
I really don't care all that much about the stadium deal. The only thing that I guess I care to learn is, can you give me a winner without a new stadium? Right? I mean, I understand, and there's plenty of people in the media that are all about the stadium. I care about the baseball team. That's what I'm watching every single day, and it's been very difficult through these first 79 games. So that's what I care about. For as many, and because I've asked John countless times, because the question I get from so many people is, does he even care about the baseball team? Is it all about the stadium? And he gives me the same answer every single time. We got to be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. But no, I wake up every morning thinking about the baseball team. All right, well, when do we start to pour money into the team? And of course, that answer, I kind of already know the answer. We're going to figure that out over these final 83 games of the season, right? The evaluation season isn't complete, so we don't know when they're going to spend money. So, yeah, really the only thing I'm interested to learn is if you don't get a new stadium, does that mean you're never going to be able to dump the type of money into this team that this city needs and expects?
Somewhat in relation to that, we know across baseball, attendance is up almost 8%. The Royals are even up 2% so far this season. Is it just the rule changes in baseball, or is it that you have maybe some more stars that people are gravitating towards?
That's an interesting question. I would point to the fact that there's, 4 teams, maybe 5 teams that are out of it. I think there's just not that there's better baseball, because the 2 central divisions are garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, terrible.
But outside of the Royals, the Nationals, the A's, and the Rockies, I think the other 26 teams can at least lie to themselves or convince themselves that they're still in it. And if the teams can do it, obviously the fan bases can do it. I mean, I get people to buy in on this Royals team after they win a game, let alone 3 in a row, which they haven't done all season.
That's
by the way.
Unbelievable.
So I think it's just that there's so many not good teams, but teams that remain in it as we approach July.
Should that be a massive advantage for them in the trade department? They're like
Without question.
They're one of the few teams that's like, we're open for business. There's a bunch of teams that are sitting on the fence and not admitting it.
On the market.
Yeah, I would think that should be you should be selling now, because you have your advantage now is that other teams aren't selling, Vern.
Yeah, no, without question. No, I think they'll be selling. They should be selling. I would like to say sooner rather than later, but again, the question that JJ needs to ask himself is, looking around the rest of the American League, National League, looking around the rest of the game, the teams that need to, like the Padres and the White Sox and the Tigers, teams that I don't believe are really in it. And I don't think in their heart of hearts they really believe. The Mets, I don't think they really believe that they're in it. The longer you wait, maybe their front office says, all right, let's wave the white flag and move on. So it's really this game of chicken of how long can you wait? How much can the prize build for Aroldis Chapman, or at least the bounty that you're going to get in return? Because the longer you wait, there's going to be more teams, obviously, joining this dump-off coming up, going into or less than 5 weeks away now from the trade deadline. But, talking with JJ yesterday, yeah, I'm expecting certainly Chapman and Barlow to be moved. And I don't think he's going to wait around, and I don't think that they'll wait until the final 48 hours. I'll put it that way.
I hope that's the case. That makes plenty of sense. There's also you always have the injury risk as well with having guys go out there even more. Not to mention the competition you're talking about as well. Vern, appreciate the time as always, man. We'll be listening tonight, 6 o'clock, Vern's On Deck show. And my guess, one of us got to be on. Maybe it's Cody tonight. I don't know. Making some bets. We got to get back on track.
We got Fesco on tonight. No,
okay.
You guys have been really hurting the show lately.
Yeah, no, not good. Not good. I'm ice cold on the although I was driving up to Omaha for the College World Series this past weekend, and there's a few apps that aren't in Kansas, Fern. So we're driving in Iowa, and I download an app. I get about $365 in free bets. Thank you very much. Nice. And made a $100 parlay on the Royals Rays game last Friday night. Same game parlay, and we cashed in for a nice $500.
Well, good for you. Fantastic. Way to go, and hopefully Iowa enjoyed your money. I hope you enjoy Iowa's money, rather. Excuse me.
You going to come in studio when we open this dom?
Yeah. I mean, if I can, you know the schedule. But, I'm always down to have a drink.
5 more wins from Jordan Lyles. 5 more, baby. Thanks, Vern.
And this goes into next season?
No.
Come on, let's not get carried away.
Well, I'm worried. You seem to think that it's not going to happen, but I was a little worried if Jordan Lyles got a little hot all of a sudden that he could get moved, and then all of a sudden I get screwed, and I don't get my bottle of Dom.
I think it's more likely he ends up winning that amount of games this season than he gets moved.
Okay.
There you go.
I like it. There you go. Josh Vernier, our Royals Insider. He joins us every Wednesday here on Cody and Gold. And again, he's got his On Deck show tonight at 6 o'clock. Let's get to the random question of the day.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Kramer. Over in the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. The random question of the day today comes via my brother's group chat.
Oh, boy.
No, it's fine.
Yikes. Hold on. Okay.
We're good.
All right.
To make us reminiscent of childhood amongst the four brothers, my brother this morning sent us a text of Hamburger Helper right next to Pan Burger Partner. Hey, Pan Burger Partner was a Tap household staple, just so you know. So the question I have for you today is, which off-brand do you support the most? Because there are off-brands, and now especially because like Target's got its own store brand and stuff, there are certainly ones that are in there. I'll tell you right now, one off the bat, the Cinnamon Toasted Squares that comes in a bag, just as good as Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Don't waste your money spending money on Cinnamon Toast Crunch when Cinnamon Toast Squares that comes in a giant bag of cereal, same price, just as good. My kids can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference. We're good to go.
You're onto something here, especially with breakfast cereals. You can buy the off-brand all. Yes, and I think they taste better.
Not all of them, but some of them. They're probably worse for you.
Get the crispy rice.
This is probably like carcinogens or something.
This is a tricky one for now because I don't really cook that much. We've had this, so like my pantry. Yeah, Kramer, you should know this by now. My pantry's very empty. The fullest it was when I got the free food dropped off from this meal service place accidentally, and I cooked 2 meals. It was great. But I grilled burgers this past weekend or whatever. But that's the extent. I go to the grocery store for what I need. I didn't buy off-brand chips. I bought like the Santitas $2 chips that are actually better than the Tostitos, by the way. But they're not off-brand. They're owned by Frito-Lay. So I can't answer that. I don't really know if I have an answer for you on off-brand stuff now. The off-brand Goldfish, I would have said at one point in time, but I don't really have that in my pantry.
What are those called?
I don't remember.
Off-brand Goldfish should be fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with
that. There's something. I tried the
I don't think off-brand Cheez-Its are terrible. The regular Cheez-It is significantly better.
I tried the off-brand like string cheese, when you get the Sargento or Kraft string cheese or whatever. The off-brand string cheese, it is not the same. It is not the same.
It's no good.
A different taste.
See, I don't purchase the goods. I just go and pick them up because Caitlin does all the shopping. So
your fiance?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she'll order the stuff. So I mean, whatever she buys, I eat. But Cody, I'm not gonna.
What's the most recent off-brand thing you bought? For me, honestly, before all this medicine was off-brand allergy medicine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say too.
It's cheaper, man.
Someone says you buy off-brand food. Why? I'll just make it real easy. Money, cost.
Cheaper.
It's way cheaper. What do you mean?
There's some things you just can't do it though.
Oh, the off-brand fish crackers called Whales. They are good.
Oh, Whales are good. Yes.
The Whales are good. That's a good answer.
And the off-brand animal crackers as well.
Someone's claiming the Aldi brand chocolate sandwich cookies are better than Oreos. You don't like Oreos, but man, because like Hydrox are not better than Oreos. So if you're telling me there's an Oreo substitute out there that's just as good, I'm listening. Because like the toaster pastries instead of the Pop-Tarts, way worse.
Yeah.
More crumbly. They're just like
the off-brand
there's not as much filling.
Mini muffins not as good either.
You know what? Weirdly enough, I don't know.
You can taste the sugar, like the grains of sugar in those off-brand mini muffins.
My kids love mini muffins. I'm surprised you.
I stopped eating them when I was 5.
Growing up, mini muffins like before school are very healthy. Where I was having
healthy. You're right.
Before school.
I'm so on the Fruity Dino Bites. That's the Fruity Pebbles replacement that Mike is like.
Never had that.
Something's off.
Someone says Fesco would say Kirkland signature. Yeah, true. Yeah, he would go with any of the Costco off-brand. Kirkland has some good stuff. Kirkland branded stuff is good. Best choice, I think it's Price Chopper. Not bad for some things. But again, I don't go grocery shopping as much as either of you.
I mean, I have to go grocery shopping every week.
You got kids.
Mine's 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Every other.
No.
Someone says Hy-Vee brand count as off-brand. Absolutely, that's what we're talking about. Yeah,
store brand.
Hy-Vee, your best choice, Great Values, Walmart. Kirkland is Costco.
The Great Value bacon? Nothing wrong with it.
So
perfectly good bacon.
This is where I'm weird on the meat products. I can't
bacon.
Absolutely not off-brand on meat. Can't do it. I cannot go off-brand on meat products. Absolutely not. Not when I'm not messing with the meat.
It's bacon, man.
Not messing with.
But I just think anything breakfast food related is. I mean, you could probably get the good off-brand stuff for it.
Yeah, I can't do off-brand for the meat. Anything else I understand why people, but the meat can't do it.
The Captain Crunch off-brand is amazing.
I can't think of the last time I had Captain Crunch. That doesn't feel like
the Cheerios off-brand, at least because Cheerios are so basic and not flavored.
How can it be bad?
So you might as well. I mean, the off-brand one is fine.
The crispy rice at Hy-Vee is great.
The Honey Nut Toastios, which is the Honey Nut chip, perfectly good.
Toastios.
Yes, I agree.
Perfect. Cereal's a very safe one. But there's nothing. Also, Hamburger Partners. Like, let me just be clear. If you're gonna make yourself Hamburger Helper, right? You're thinking this is my dinner tonight. I'm just gonna get that beef. I'm gonna stir it in there. Maybe I'm gonna mix it up and cut up a green bell pepper and throw it in. If you're making that,
ooh, fancy.
And the box of Hamburger Helper is like $2.20, and the box of Panburger Partner is $1. It's gonna have a little more sodium, but that's the move. It's the move. It's the same ingredient. You gotta go with the off-brand.
Someone says, is Aldi off-brand? Yes, I would consider that off-brand.
All right,
Not
so
all of it.
I would consider. They said is Aldi. Most of their
There
stuff.
are
is,
some name brand things inside.
Yeah,
of
but most
of it's off-brand.
Yeah.
So last night I made Mexican food, and I used the off-brand, like the seasoning, Mexican seasoning.
Yeah.
Like taco seasoning.
Yeah, taco seasoning, the Equate version of it at Walmart.
We bought some of those off-brand Sunday cones. No different than the actual
for a cone or something like for that. Yeah,
ice cream's another very safe one. Don't let them
Yes,
talk you into
I
like.
agree.
Don't let them talk you
Have you
into
guys
like
tried-
Gillette-y and it's like $14 or no. Don't.
Have you seen the?
Just get the big giant thing that has 3 colors and call
Get
it
the box
a day.
Breyers, you're good.
Have you seen the new? I haven't tried it yet. It seems like you're actually paying for less ice cream. But Blue Bunny has soft serve now, like in a tub. It's
Really?
soft. It's
Is it
soft
good?
serve. I haven't tried it. I've seen the ad for it. Soft serve ice cream from Blue Bunny. It sounds like you'd be paying for less ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Like just air in a
Kind of.
package.
I mean, I'd have to.
I haven't tried it. It might taste great.
Somebody pointed out the Walmart fruit snacks. If he's talking about the fruit smiles, he's correct.
For the
It's a very good fruit
785,
snack.
Dollar General brand Pop Tarts. Yes, absolutely. The
I think
Clover
Pop-Tarts,
Valley
I think
brand.
that-
Yes,
I think
yes.
there's I haven't had the Dollar General brand, but I'm telling you, there's
Good.
I've had some off-brand Pop-Tarts, and I don't feel like the quality's as good.
Been a very long time since I've ever been in one of those.
You should shop around at Dollar Generals. You never know what you can find.
Yeah, I don't even know where one's at.
There's one not that far from
There's one like
Someone
literally
says
over here on
Gold-
Johnson Drive.
Someone says Gold thinks they're lesser pigs for great value bacon.
They're the
And
sad
so
pigs sitting
when
in the corner.
When it comes to meat, I'm not going to buy the off-brand stuff. That's it. Other than that, off-brand stuff not a problem. But there you go. That is the random question of the day. Coming up next, though, we asked Vern about this: the best trade asset for the Royals, and what one Eagles player had to say about the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Cody and Gold.
Hey, it's Vinny Pasquantino. Even though I have a real beef with Nick, tune in to Cody and Gold weekdays starting at 10 o'clock right here on 610 Sports Radio.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
If you're looking for fun on the water, I've been telling you about my friends over at Midwest Marine Boat Company. They have everything you need for summer fun on the water. And it's not just the boats. No, it's also the experience on the boat. Making sure you got those ice-cold beverages that are going to stay ice cold. Did I tell you that Midwest Marine Boat Company has Yeti products? If you've never enjoyed your favorite cold summer beverage in a Yeti tumbler, then you've really never enjoyed summer. They got Yeti tumblers, coolers, you name it, at their brand new indoor showroom, Midwest Marine Boat Company in Grandview.
While you are celebrating the 4th of July with friends and family, or grilling for one, go to your local grocer and pick up bottles of Gates sauces and seasonings and experience that flavor explosion found only in Gates products. Or maybe you would rather pick up a couple slabs of ribs or a party tray for the park. Gates' 5 locations are open and ready to serve whichever you choose. Or you can purchase online at GatesBBQ.com. Make Gates a part of your 4th of July. Gates Barbecue is a Kansas City tradition.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly. Red, white, and dew savings are happening now at the Home Depot. Prep for all the summer guests and gatherings with up to 60% off select patio sets now at the Home Depot. Shop and save on a wide variety of sets and styles to find what suits your patio best for another season of hosting with the most. Find the perfect pieces for your space with up to 60% off select patio sets. So sit back and relax into red, white, and dew savings happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Mosquito Joe makes it easy to have an itch-free yard all summer long. Mosquito Joe is the frontline defense against controlling mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas for homes and businesses. They guarantee their services and will provide a booster treatment if you are less than satisfied with the results. Stop smacking yourself in the face and call 855-ASK-A-JOE. That's 855-ASK-A-JOE. Check them out at MosquitoJoe.com. Mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas can't hide from Mosquito Joe. With Mosquito Joe, outside is fun again.
For over 2 years now, I'm seeing better than I ever have thanks to my friends at Dury Vision and their unbelievable process for me to not need my contacts or glasses anymore. I went in for my free consultation. You can do the same thing. All you got to do is go to DuryVision.com or give them a phone call at 913-491-3330. Or I've been telling you, you don't even have to go in the office anymore for the free consultation. They're conducting consultations virtually over Zoom now as well. And it was pretty simple for me when I was thinking about where was I going to go for my vision needs to find out if I could get rid of my contacts or glasses. Dury Vision was no doubt the choice because they're among the most experienced and respected vision correction surgeons in the entire country. Together, they've performed over 65,000 vision correction procedures with over 30 years also in refractive surgery development. Go with the best in Kansas City and make the best decision like I did. Give them a call at 913-491-3330 or go online to DuryVision.com. And when you go in, be sure to tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
When you open your hopper, you don't fill it with just any hardwood pellets, right? You fill it with Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Made right here in the USA with North American ingredients and a 100% natural hardwood blend, Kingsford pellets can be used on any pellet grill and add delicious smoky flavor to any meal. Kingsford's the name you trust for the low and slow cooking you crave. So look for Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Kingsford.com.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
Hey, this is Trent McDuffie, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, we're back here, 1 o'clock hour, hanging out on a Wednesday. Of course, we'll have things off to the drive coming up at 2 o'clock today. Someone was joking. We were talking about name brand foods. They said, so Gold won't do off-brand meat, but it'll do generic meds. Yes.
I think we all just kind of agree to generic meds.
I will say the inhaler they gave me for this thing this week, it is, I believe, a name brand inhaler. What do you want to? Yeah.
Name brand inhaler.
Yeah, I think
most are.
Ooh.
Versus the, obviously antibiotics are just antibiotics. Okay, it's like there's not really a name brand of the antibiotic.
Over on Twitch, the discussion was whether or not there is or off-brand weed, and I thought that everyone just kind of agreed that was stems. You're just getting bad weed, right?
So bad weed is the off-brand.
I think that's essentially what the off-brand is, right? And then somebody brought up K2, which there's no way do you remember that?
I've heard of it.
Oh, man. What a time. You're too young, Kramer.
Oh, wait.
Very small blip on the pop culture was something called K2, which was like synthetic weed that made people I think borderline kind of crazy.
It wasn't good.
My goodness.
It was during the same time that they were letting us K2 was available, and then they were letting you drink 4 Locos that had caffeine and alcohol in them, and you were just
4 Loco, man.
They were just letting you
I feel like
wreck your body.
I do feel like Kramer's younger than us. 4 Loco would have been right up Kramer's alley based on what you just told us an hour or so ago, which said within the last year, you went to a hospital for drinking.
So I've had one Four Loko in my lifetime.
But
and
you
that
didn't
was
have
it.
the real Four Loko.
No, they
still have a branded Four Loko.
Correct.
It
It's
is
not the same.
nothing like what
It's
it
like that.
was
I don't like
originally.
that malty type of taste to
Dude,
those Four Lokos. Oh my god!
It was like drinking 5 cups of coffee and having 4 alcoholic drinks at the same time.
Yeah.
It was out of control.
Should be mixing that. Nope.
Yeah, and I know someone said that most of the name brand stuff is made by the off-brand stuff is made by the name brand. I know that, but as we just established, we also
just doesn't go grocery
we
shopping very
also just know though that they may be made, they don't always taste the same. There's certain things like cleaning supplies. Yeah, I'll go with the off-brand stuff. We've established like the allergy medicine. Yeah, I don't need to buy the name brand because it's the same damn thing. Anyway, someone says now the text line today has been full of
We've had a lot of like,
drugs and
criminal
alcohol.
activity.
Drugs and alcohol today.
Talk on the text line. You know what? I think we're partially to blame for this. I'm not going to lie.
Well, no kidding, we are. No kidding.
I don't think always. I think sometimes the text line brings stuff up first, but you know.
I mean, you were admitting to felonies earlier, Cody.
I said hypothetically maybe somebody did that near me. I didn't admit.
Right.
None of this is admissible in a court of
allegedly.
law. And honestly, there's no way any of the evidence still exists, so come get me. Good luck.
We know the Chiefs, of course, played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and some of the storylines out of that game had to do with the terrible turf, the terrible playing surface out in Phoenix, where the Chiefs actually played twice last year, cost the Chiefs a couple players due to injury, both Harrison Butker and Trent McDuffie. And Brandon Graham, one of the talented defensive linemen for the Eagles, was on a podcast. He was talking about the turf and how much it actually, he says, helped Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
And I'm telling you, that O-line, boy, they got blessed. I say that.
Brandon, did you know, like, even warm-ups, like, man, something's up here with this? Did you guys know right away?
I just knew that, you know, when I seen Sweaty, because when we looked at the film, man, it was a couple times where if Sweaty don't slip, boy, strip sack. Oh my God! Especially that first drive when he threw it across the middle to Kelsey.
Yep.
He was right there, man. He slipped. We could not believe it. Like when I looked at the film, I finally looked at it. It was just like, man, oh man, we gonna get that on the get back. It's coming back. That's coming back. But you know, like I said, credit to Kansas City, man. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? Them boys, they played too. They played on that surface too. And I heard that they got the same surface that they got right there on that field at their place and Vegas do. So we ain't gonna. Hey, if we gonna win, we gotta go through. We gotta go through the battle. You know, and so if that's what they putting out, that's what we gotta do. We gotta go out there and you know, rise up through adversity.
So he was kind of he wasn't claiming it was the reason why the Chiefs won. At some point in the answer you heard him there, he's like, no, we would have had a sack, we would have had a strip sack right away. Then also acknowledged, no, give credit to the Chiefs. He claimed they were more used to the turf than they were. The Chiefs played on the same football field.
Okay, and their
as
field,
Philadelphia.
just to be clear, they're not used to playing on the field in Arizona because their field is immaculate. I know that he didn't play in Kansas City this year, but let me just make it very clear for you, man. Kansas City's field is in no way, shape, or form like the field they just saw in Arizona. I've been on both. In the last calendar year, there is a marked difference between the two. That's why our guy George Tomo went on that radio interview bashing the way that they put it up wet or all these things you're apparently
the field was moldy.
Yeah, it was gross. And so I don't blame him for feeling this way. That was their single biggest strength on their team. They had one of the best pass rush seasons in the history of the NFL, and they didn't get to Mahomes. That's why he tuned him up for almost 40 points. And right, when you start scoring that amount in a Super Bowl against what was the league's best defense or one of the league's best defenses, then you start feeling like, what was the thing that held us back? Well, we couldn't get to Patrick Mahomes. But also, he threw, as you pointed out earlier, a single incompletion in the entire second half. He was nearly perfect. Jalen Hurts gets a massive advantage on the field in which a defender can't get a good grip on the field. It's an advantage for both sides. It just is. It's advantageous to the offenses, which is why, Gold, we saw a ton of scoring in that game. Unfortunately for you, you had a top 5 quarterback in the NFL and not the best one. That's the difference. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and you don't. And that's not even meant to be a knock is Jalen Hurts. I would say that about literally any other quarterback. But that's just the reality of the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, the answer was split. At one point, he's alluding that Kansas City got lucky, and then he's like, but I give them a ton of credit. He was trying to cover his ass a little bit in the answer as well. That was pretty clear.
What I mean, like right now, like that game to me seemed too good to be the like, let's nitpick because a Philly fan ready to be like, well, the field. Come on.
Oh, it was that. It was the Bradbury hold.
Yeah,
there was
but
a lot
Bradbury,
of things.
that had to end the second that Bradbury
Correct.
admitted it, right?
But some of their fans were not willing to say that.
What do you mean?
It's
The
what
player
fans do. It's what fans do.
who held him said I did it. Like, I mean, that's just.
Yeah. If the Chiefs if they rolled out a new field once the Chiefs were on defense, then you can complain. You know what I mean?
Do you think that bad field didn't help Jalen? Jalen Hurts was electric in that game.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He went for like 300 yards passing and damn near 100 yards rushing. He had all those rushing touchdowns. You don't think that a bad field helps him? Of course it does. It helps offenses. Again, that's why you saw the amount of points you did. It didn't stop Philly from scoring. They scored a whole bunch. Kinsey's defense did not play good in that game, although they played much better in the second half, as we have discussed. I don't know, probably not since they won the Super Bowl, because we don't have to worry about those things anymore. But that's the reason why it got there. In the end, you lost to Patrick Mahomes. That is the single biggest reason why you came up short in the Super Bowl, is that when push came to shove and the ball was in the hand of a quarterback who had to score it, the Chiefs have Mahomes, which puts you in a tough spot. You know?
Yeah, I mean, statistically, Jalen Hurts outplayed him, but Mahomes made the plays when needed.
He made the last couple
and the
of
Chiefs'
plays.
offensive line, whether you want to say it was the turf or not, the Chiefs' offensive line, the biggest story other than Mahomes and the quarterbacks heading in all week, we talked about when we were out in Phoenix, we discussed the offensive line. Could they hold up? And how many people did we talk to that would come by our table out in Phoenix, and they're like, yeah, they just don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to do it. It's going to be too much. That was the biggest difference in the game. I know Mahomes, of course, but the Chiefs' offensive line and preventing a single sack, 0 sacks from Philly, that was the biggest reason.
But I mean, to his point, that's what he's saying. He's like, we wouldn't have gotten 0 sacks. They did have
Easy to say that. You know
I
what
know,
mean?
but they did have 70 sacks.
Well, I mean, I was stunned they had 0 too. Nobody would have predicted they would have had 0 sacks. But to assume that if they played on the most perfect playing surface, that they would have had 7 sacks is also some BS.
The other part of it is like, the Chiefs managed to get 2. What's your problem?
Right. Well, that's
Like,
exactly
no offense,
it.
but they somehow figured out a way to get they didn't get to the quarterback all day or anything, but they managed to sneak a couple across the finish line. So, you know, what's the issue here? I mean, Tommy Townsend, I'm just looking back at like this stat. Tommy Townsend only punted twice in that entire game. Even if you're not getting sacks, there's other opportunities to get them off of the field. But the second you just never stopped Mahomes in any conceivable way in that second half, you should have known it was over. By the way, someone is going to box score this game later and claim that Patrick Mahomes didn't help win this Super Bowl.
No, I mean, Jalen Hurts had better
the way
numbers.
that we've done with Tom Brady, you know, like where Tom Brady's got these Super Bowl stats where he had like 175 yards, but was the Super Bowl MVP. Because 21 of 27 for 182 yards doesn't seem that cool. And so you realize he had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, made 0 mistakes, and rushed 6 times for 44 yards on a high ankle sprain. It's like,
no, I mean, again, this goes back to not everything is just slide at Patrick Mahomes. I think Jalen Hurts was the better quarterback throughout the entire game. He was. But that doesn't. Yeah. But when it mattered most, what you needed it most, Patrick Mahomes made the big plays. And then, by the way, Jalen Hurts, for the most part, made the big plays as well. The Chiefs were just all around a better football team that day. That's how this stuff works.
I do think that at the end of that clip, some people are starting to take notice of the careful about how you talk about this team. He's like, hey, but by the way, no disrespect. They're really good. Mahomes is a legend because they've seen what happens with like him and Jamar Chase. Like, please don't. I mean, it's legitimately asking like, hey, Mahomes, please don't treat this like Roadhouse and rip my throat out. I'm desperate. Please, I'm saying very nice. I'm just saying the field sucked, but please, you're great. Your team is great. Don't take this the wrong way because he knows what happens when you piss off Mahomes.
Yeah, they play each other again this year, as we know, in the regular season.
And if you think about it, Mahomes really didn't do much because the special teams helped out the Chiefs so much during that game. So the field possession.
Tony had a big return, right?
Yep.
That led to it. Was that the one? Was that right before? Was that the end of the game? Oh my God.
Towards the end of the game, yep.
Yeah, right towards the end. I was like, all of a sudden, it's like it starts becoming like a vague memory, and you start thinking about what this year's team is going to do, which is what the Chiefs have done to us. We're not going to relive every single moment of every play in one Super Bowl. They have 2 rings in the last 5 years, and I want more. I'm more worried about how they're going to get more of those things than how they spent getting the other 2.
Yeah, I mean, what Philly's doing, like that's, by the way, that's what, this is the player talking, but that's normal of fans. I mean, I wasn't surprised about the Bradbury stuff after the game. That's pretty typical. Your team losing the Super Bowl, you try to rationalize and come up with anything possible. And I'm sure for a very long time. I mean, Brandon Graham there was talking about watching film. Some players, by the way, will say they won't ever watch the film. They lose in a Super Bowl, they're just not watching the film. They throw it away, whatever. He said they watched it. They couldn't get over the fact that their player slipped. Sean McDermott 2 years ago. Clearly, last offseason, it took them forever. They couldn't get over. They said they'll never get over it, but the 13-second drive by Kansas City.
He said he's watched it too many times. I'm like, oh, man, that's bad. That's not good for your health. All right? Like for McDermott, he can't keep watching that, man. That's not good for anybody. But if you go back through, and I've watched that game since, he's not the only one who slipped, man. Every single player was on their ass in that game. On skates. Receivers, corners, linebackers. Like nobody was standing up by the time that game ended. That's really what is to note. He's not wrong. The field was garbage.
Yeah. Thinking of the Chiefs, we know we were talking earlier about Chris Jones a little bit. Did you see Chris Jones's tweet? The new Madden game's coming out early August or so, Madden 24. I don't know if I'll buy it this year. Now, usually what happens is now it's kind of a point where I don't play enough to where I'll wait till the middle of the season and I'll buy it. I used to get it every time the day it came out, but I still played occasionally. And so EA tweeted out, basically, they've been doing a beta test, I guess, and some people have been playing the game. And there's a screenshot, and it's the likeness of Chris Jones. And he tweeted at Man NFL, I thought the facial recognition was improved, shaking my head.
And then he said he's going to tweet at EA every day until they do something about it, or at least until they respond.
It does not look like him at all. Some of the players, and he's a star player too, but the star quarterbacks are actually pretty damn good. Like, really, really good what they've done. But yeah, the Chris Jones doesn't, like, his frame, everything, like his frame and stuff, yeah, that's right. But his face doesn't.
Once you get to the neck portion of it, yeah, it's bad.
It is.
Are we even is EA even trying sometimes? Chris Jones, let's just say whenever NFL Network puts out its top 100 players, right? They'll do that here soon.
You got to make sure one of the star players on the team that just won the Super Bowl, that they look legit.
He doesn't look anything like that photo. Like, it's not even particularly close, to be honest. And I think that he has a real gripe. I think that they should go back in and fix it. Can they do that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in beta. The game's not out yet. They can do patches. Cody, they update the game throughout the season with ratings upgrades. They can do some stuff.
Quickly.
My favorite
player,
part
all of a
is
sudden
response.
someone gets signed that's, that they, unretired, whatever. They have to add players back in the game, remove players, all that kind of stuff.
Tighten this up. I like that the very first response, just going back, and the guy's just like, new Madden looks so real. And Chris Jones' response was, real where? It's like zoomed in on his face.
Yeah, every year they claim they redo the game. This year they're going to change them. We'll see. We'll see.
Apparently it's supposed to be the best one. They always say that every single year. It's annoying.
They claim they added some new features for Madden 24, and I'll check it out.
Until there is somebody else who can get the licensing agreement with the NFL, and EA is pretty protective over that, so it turns out they would like exclusivity. Until somebody else can be
they
a
are bringing
competitor,
back
they're not gonna make any changes other than watch Vision Cone, and you're like, we don't want it, and then they'll get rid of it, and then they'll give us some other dumb feature we don't care about.
They're adding back like Superstar mode, which was if you've played Madden for a while, you know that was a cool mode where you basically could bring your player all the way up through and stuff. So they're adding that, but other than that, it's the same glitchy stuff that usually happens. But they're bringing back Hit Everything. Remember the hit stick when that first came out in Madden? They're adding Hit Everything to something called Hit Everything 2.0. Skill-based passing. We'll see.
Wait, what's the hit every? What's the difference?
A new way, like a more complex way, I guess, of hitting.
So you can't just flick the stick anymore?
Does it say specifically?
I should know this.
Here's the truth about Madden. You know what?
You're the Madden sim guy.
You know what I don't want about Madden? I don't need it to be more complex. That was like the Vision Cone thing. I don't need to be like, while I'm playing, directing wide receivers to free length. I just want them to run
here it
around
is. It says,
and throw.
Hit Everything expands new contested catch tackle types, provide more control and tackle variety on defense. Dynamically unlock new and more fluid tackle interactions like wrap and scoop tackles.
So the game's going to get broken. So.
Skill-based passing players can make one-handed catches.
Can't wait for the way those glitches
You
look.
can
That'll
make
be bad.
one-handed catches now with improved catching AI, surgical accuracy, threading the needle, and new throw animations. More authentic defensive reactions.
They did add Patrick Mahomes throwing it underhanded or something.
Unnecessary.
It's so stupid.
Unnecessary.
I'm not saying Patrick
He did
Mahomes
it
can't
one
do that in
time
real
his
life, but I
career.
don't need to do
Well,
that.
that's what I'm saying. He can do it one time in his career. We don't need it in the video game to be able to do it every pass if we want to. Like that's ridiculous.
And they are improving. I'll put quotation marks on that. The game because of this stuff. But once they put this into the game, it's just going to ruin the simulation style that everybody wants. Nobody wants these animation type things, so that's how the glitches happen. Heck, I remember playing it on all Madden all the time, and I feel like I throw an interception every single pass when it shouldn't be an interception. This game's
throwing a lot of picks, huh? Throwing a lot of interceptions, huh?
That's what it seems like.
I don't play it all.
I will say that
those days are behind me.
This is definitely like video game nerd in me, and also like back in the day, I loved like when the Chiefs weren't good, I would play as the Chiefs still. It's my hometown team.
Make them good.
Fix them up. Well, not even. I'm talking about playing online. I still would play with the Chiefs, and everybody at that point would play with the Patriots. Right? They were the best team, and people always play with the Cowboys just because it's the Cowboys. Well, now I don't want to be the Chiefs because they're the best team on the game because everybody's like, but then if I don't pick the Chiefs, the guy I'm matching with online is always picking the damn Chiefs, and I don't want to go up against them. So it's a mess. It's a mess, Kramer.
No, it is. No, trust me on that.
Just go with the Chiefs.
Especially a guy
if
like
someone's
me.
like, "Oh, cool, man. Way to be original picking the Chiefs." You'd be like, "I live in Kansas City." Oh man, I was gonna say something.
Ooh, I have my finger on the dump button just in case.
I live in Kansas City. That's not what I was gonna say.
You said other things on the air before.
Well, I was gonna say the word that starts with a D, and I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I use the Raiders all the time, and they're one of the bad teams in the league. And I've done that for the past, since I've been playing Madden, since 2008.
Oh, yeah, man. I used to line up and camp. I'd be there at midnight, all kinds of stuff.
Kramer, do you want to quickly refresh the audience on the thing you said to start the show and we haven't let you talk about since?
Yeah,
just
you
quickly
sure?
refresh us on your Chris Jones theory. Your
sure you wanna
working
say it
Chris
again?
Jones theory?
You know, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with saying this because
he had one ally on the text line earlier and he's emboldened.
Go ahead.
There is a disconnect between Chris Jones and I believe Steve Spagnuolo. Because if that's his guy, Chris Jones, he would be the person that's like, all right, let's get this deal done. And we've already seen in years past that Chris Jones wanted to be an edge guy. And he was an edge guy. Wasn't that great. So he went back to defensive tackle. I mean, it could have been Steve Spagnuolo's doing because he had to talk to him about it because Steve was there. And then his best buddy, Frank Clark, is gone. And you would think that if you had the star on the defensive line, he wants to go to the trenches with his friends. And that is Frank Clark. And he's in Denver now.
Kramer, we gave you a couple hours.
I thought maybe I'd think it differently this time.
No, it's the truth, though.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Where are you even getting this theory? Which Facebook message group
I got
did
a source.
you dig this into?
Got a source.
It makes no sense. First of all, Chris Jones, 15 and a half sacks this past year. Played some outside as well, mainly inside. The year they tried to experiment with him as the outside edge rusher, Jaron Reed was on the inside and was a liability, didn't do a damn thing for this team. I don't even know why I'm defending the on-field performance of Chris Jones because it speaks for itself. Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive coordinator. His job is not to negotiate contracts. I bet you if you were to
I doubt he knows anything about them at all.
If you were to privately sit down with any coach on staff, they would all say, yeah, we want Chris Jones.
So you guys think that
already probably exists. They already know. There's no question about them. The contract hasn't happened. It's not even July yet, man. Back in April, none of us thought the deal would be done by now. Check with me July 23rd when veterans, or 22nd when veterans are there. And if he doesn't have a deal there, then we can start talking about what's really going on. But no, I'm not worried at all.
So you're telling me that Spags has no say in what he wants on his defense?
Yes. He has no say on
That
the
is
players who are under
ridiculous.
contract.
No, he can have say on players that he likes, just like the draft process, right? But he's not there
Get
saying,
the deal
hey,
done.
Brett, you better sign Chris Jones. Get his ass here. Which, by the way, get his ass here, Kramer. They're on vacation right now. There's nowhere for him to go.
The longer you wait on re-signing or extending Chris Jones right now, it only drives the price up. Only does. Quinn Williams is probably going to get a deal done within the next couple weeks.
That's the first logical thing you said. That might be true. The rest of it is just factually inaccurate. Look, here's the thing. Just imagine this conversation of Chris Jones a month from now being like, yeah, couldn't reach a long-term deal in Kansas City. You know whose fault it is? That ass, Steve Spagnuolo.
I mean,
if he'd have kept my friend here, you'd be like, what? And then everyone would be like, Chris, what are you talking about? He's not the general manager. He's not the head coach. Hell, he's not even Patrick Mahomes. Three people who definitively have more say on who might be on this roster going forward. I doubt Chris Jones has had but one conversation this offseason with Spags.
It has nothing to do with desire. It's all about truly money at this point and figuring out. I think the Quentin Williams number is going to play a huge role. But again, I'll just say, I'm never, pull the audio. I never thought a deal would be done by now anyway. So what's the issue?
If you're loyal to your guy, you get it done.
Well, you're taking it out on the wrong man. Spags did nothing.
But here's the thing: Spags isn't doing anything to help him try to let's get this done. Let's get it done. But we don't know that for sure.
he was his defensive coordinator in a year in which he had 15 and a half sacks.
And how do you know he's not doing it? It doesn't make any sense, man.
The Chiefs,
it doesn't make any sense.
The Chiefs people are they keep everything indoors clearly.
You're acting like this is September 15th already, and the season's 2 weeks in, and they never got the deal done, and shame on them, and now he's going to leave and all this. Camp hasn't even started. We're not even a week within camp.
If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm concerned.
Oof, I don't know. I don't think Chiefs fans should be concerned at all yet.
I think you should, because I'm sick. I didn't go to the ring ceremony.
You can be concerned.
He was sick. Yeah, I believe him.
If you want to cast him down on that, you'll probably find some allies. But
and that's Spags' fault too. Is that what you're saying?
He knew Spags was going to be there. He didn't want to be in the same room.
Text line thinks you're just a sour Raiders fan. They think this is Raiders fan trying to stir the pot, trying to upset the troops a little bit. It's the only shot the Raiders got.
Believe what you will. Believe what you will.
This is deep conspiracy theory stuff.
Oh, the text line is not good for you, man.
I don't think you found a single ally this time, man.
That's fine with me. I'm good. I got this island over here.
That's not a. No man is an island. It's not a compliment. You don't want that. I mean, they are, but you don't want to be that. Okay. Kramer has to run future takes by us. Text line. It's fine. He just said he had to take on Chris Jones to start.
Yeah, he said he has a Chris Jones theory. We thought, he's going to talk about legacy something, or maybe he's got to take on Chris Jones's long-term outlook in KC, or what he could do this year.
Why he shouldn't take a discount to be with the team because he's won 2 Super Bowl rings. There's so many different ways you can do the Chris Jones
Did not
thing.
expect it's Steve Spagnuolo's not going to bat for Chris Jones.
You never know, guys.
That's
you never know.
Hell of a take. Well played, Salty Raider Man. Is that your name? Salty Raider Man? I feel like there's a song there. Like, Salty Raider Man.
I didn't think about it, but there probably is.
There's something there.
You going with Mini Men on that?
I don't know.
That's what it sounded like. You were a Salty Raider Man.
Yeah.
I'd have to hear that song again, but it's in that it's in that range. Let's put it that way.
All right, coming up next, we'll get to what's trending. We will talk about someone that does have real contract problems, Kramer, in Las Vegas, but it tells us a lot about the Chiefs running back situation as well.
Cody and Gold.
Gold, I want a new weekly segment for you called The Steam Room.
But you got to do it shirtless.
That's Cody's request.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR.
JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR.
In fact, JR & Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof,
you're always better with a roof from JR.
Go to jrhailcheck.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the charts, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over as long as 5 years with special financing, or save up to $5,000 on the spot. It's our best finance offer ever and our most aggressive pricing. Fine jewelry has never been more affordable, but this amazing offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com. On approved credit.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
At Lowe's, we're always bringing pros more ways to save. Right now, save $100 when you buy the Flex 24-volt brushless impact driver kit for just $99. That's 50% off the original price. Plus, you'll also find Southwire Romex Simpul 250-foot wire for just $109. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 7/20 while supplies last.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit GetJim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
The Great American Road Trip Sales Event going on at all Max Motors dealership locations. Enjoy your summer payment-free for 90 days. Over 30 banks and credit unions offering the lowest interest rates available. Shop 24/7 at MaxMotors.com. Open late. See dealer for details.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, the Royals hoping to maybe find someone they can rely on the rest of this season and maybe give some hope for the future. That's Austin Cox. He is starting for the first time in his big league career tonight. He's been effective out of the bullpen, been a bright spot over the last couple of weeks, and so now he gets a chance against the Guardians. 7:10 first pitch, Vern's on deck show at 6 o'clock right here on 610 Sports Radio.
I mean,
and
that's
hopefully
exciting.
Salvi gets, by the way, sorry. Hopefully Salvi gets back in the lineup. He's dealing with the same, you guys have heard it over and over the last couple of years.
He's going to deal with it for life.
Same kind of blurry vision deal. Usually they go in, they do a quick little minor procedure, and it clears up. Let's hope that's the same deal and hope he's back in the lineup today.
Next up on What's Trending, speaking of the health of certain Royals pitchers, Brad Keller officially started rehab today from the pitching staff. He'll make a start in Double-A Arkansas. At least a chance for Brad Keller to get a chance back on the big league club. They could use another pitcher. The interesting thing about Keller to me is if Lynch, Singer, and Austin Cox all of a sudden are pitching well to go with Zach Greinke, you can make a legitimate argument all of a sudden, Alex, that maybe it's worth Brad Keller ending up in the bullpen again, where we've seen him have success before.
Yeah, I would certainly love for him to get back up here have success, raise his trade value a little bit in a perfect world to where you feel like you could get something for him, because he's not long for Kansas City anyway. So that's the best case scenario right now for Brad Keller. Get him ready to go. Hopefully the rehab assignment goes well. Next up on what's trending, Travis Kelce had a full-blown profile piece in Vanity Fair. Again, this is just another example.
Speaking to his level of fame right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he admitted that he knows he's underpaid. He said he talks to his managers, and they tell him he's underpaid all the time, but he loves winning. He knows that he could make more money elsewhere, could have, with his prior contract, and he stayed in Kansas City. He wants to win. And there's not a better thing you can hear as a fan of your team than your star player saying that. It's incredible, right? There's not much better you can hear. Oh, yeah, I can make more money. I know I'm underpaid, but I love winning, and here's where I can win the most. Basically what he said.
I mean, it all makes sense. It's like the combination of things that make sense is also the exact thing you want to hear. It's like he knows what he's doing. He knows how much he is worth. He knows that he is underpaid, but he doesn't seem mad about it because of all the winning. And also, being in Kansas City and being associated with Patrick Mahomes is going to make him a mountain of money. If he had left 2 years ago and was the tight end, still doing the same things for the Carolina Panthers, not with Patrick Mahomes, he wouldn't have hosted SNL. He wouldn't be, doing all the local TV commercials that he does with Patrick Mahomes or the national TV whatever. It would just be different than it was before. Lastly, on what's trending, Isaiah Rodgers and other members of the Colts, according to report, a handful of players expected to be suspended for a full year, according to Adam Schefter, for violating the league's gambling policy. That would make more than 10 players or staff members that have been suspended in just 2 years since they implemented this sports wagering policy across the NFL. Look, there's two things. One, they were doing this before. We've talked about this. This speaks to the fact that this was occurring.
This is getting
before,
caught through a
and now they're
regulated
getting it caught.
environment.
But also, you better sit in every single meeting you have. All right, we're done. Offensive line meeting's over. Oh, just real quick, guys. Don't gamble. You can't do it on the NFL. You can't do it on these premises. Go home and bet on baseball or basketball or some other sport. But do not, under any circumstances, wager at this site. And absolutely under no circumstances, wager on the NFL. They're the only two rules, and the NFL's got to figure a way to get that message home.
Yeah, the education part has to get better, clearly, because the players aren't aware, clearly, of all the policies, and I think it's going to take some time. Going to continue to take some time. You just hope that one of your players isn't on this list of guys that are going to be nailed with a 1-year suspension. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. You can put this one on me. The music's going to keep playing because Kramer had to run down. Someone's picking up their item.
Do you want me to go turn it down?
And I don't know how long it's going to be. He should be back up in a second. I mean, if you want to run around, you can.
I can see it. Let's find out.
Yeah, go pod the what's trending sound down. Kramer's dropping off an item for someone that's picking up from the Cody and Gold garage sale. So this is not on him. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Let's see if Cody screws everything up or not. He's looking down at the board. Just pot it down. Look at the one that's moving. There it is. There it is. Okay. All right. We're all better now. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. I wanted to talk more about running backs in the league. We can relate it back to Isaiah Pacheco in a second. But Josh Jacobs had an opportunity to have his fifth-year option exercised last season.
I turned the music down, Kramer. Don't worry.
Kramer's back. Don't worry. I took the blame. It's not on you. You did your job. Josh Jacobs did not get the option picked up. He was showcased during preseason last year to the point where you wondered if he was going to get traded. Ends up having a great year, so they don't pick his option up. Now they franchise tagged him a couple months ago. He wants a long-term deal. They don't want to give him a long-term deal. And now Tom Pelissero is saying one situation that nobody's talking about is Josh Jacobs. At this point, if there's not a long-term deal, he doesn't anticipate Jacobs being there at the start of training camp. And he doesn't know that he shows up week 1. Number one, we know how this stuff works. It doesn't work.
Bad news, running back.
It doesn't work.
Way to join the party with everyone else, which is it ain't ever gonna happen.
Yeah.
You can get yourself traded. You might get yourself a small raise, but like tangibly, are you going to get way more? No.
Yeah, nothing changes. Austin Eckler got a couple $1 million more. That was it. You're going to end up playing for the Raiders week 1, or you're going to not be on the Raiders. I mean, it doesn't make any sense financially anymore. Holding out doesn't make sense. But what I think it also reminds us once again is, why is he not being able to get these contracts? Because of players like Isaiah Pacheco. 7th-round guys that just proved last year they can be 1,000-yard back from scrimmage.
He was the lead running back on a Super Bowl winning team. You don't need to pay Josh Jacobs. I get it for some teams. running backs have more value, right? Like they just are. They're a more important part of their offense. It's why San Francisco went for Christian McCaffrey. It's why for years Derrick Henry got paid in Tennessee. He was as valuable to their offense as the quarterback play was, at least for a stretch. But that is for real, I gotta be honest with you. For the teams that have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl every year, that is never the case, ever. Look at the running backs at the time Tom Brady was winning. Look at the running backs. It's not like Joseph Adai was bad at being a running back. It's not like Edgerrin James is a Hall of Fame running back. But they paid him once and then they moved on. And the league has changed significantly since then, Gold. You know what this says to me even more than like Pacheco, who I still think could be a top 10 back this year? This reeks of Raiders' inability to be a functioning franchise. Josh McDaniels is the worst coach in the NFL.
Agreed.
He's terrible. You agree? You're a Raiders fan.
Yes, I've never supported the signing of him at all.
He would be gone.
You want Gruden back?
No.
Just about any other organization, you'd already be fired, but the Raiders couldn't afford to do so financially.
The P.F. Chang's money is running out.
Is that the back history there?
It's sort of, kind of.
You said that earlier, and I just let it slide.
Mark Davis loves his good P.F. Chang's.
I thought he had like a stake in P.F. Chang's.
He probably does.
I got to be honest, though. I think of P.F. Chang's more associated with the Chargers.
Well, yeah, because of the Twitter account.
Yeah, I don't think you can attach P.F. Chang's to the Raiders. I already associate it with a different AFC West team.
I just attach it to Mark Davis.
I haven't had P.F. Chang's in a very long time.
Like
those chicken lettuce
Never
wraps
had it.
appetizer.
Never had
so
it.
good, so good.
Like if you look at just look at the top NFL offenses last year. This is Josh Jacobs' problems, right? Points per game. Is if you look at them, you'll find some good running backs in there, right? You'll find the Joe Mixons of the world, right? You'll certainly find those in there. And Joe Mixon's what? Probably a top.
Yeah, not reliable, though. I'd be worried he's going to play the whole season this year.
Okay, so top offense last year, Kansas City. Don't have a top 10 back. Didn't have a top 10 back last year. He's obviously very good. Philadelphia, Miles Sanders. Think he's top 10-ish outside of it, right? Buffalo, no. Dallas, no. Tony Pollard's a good back, but he's not one of the 5 best backs in the NFL.
I'd put Pollard at 10 or 11 right now in the league.
Yeah, he's right, but he's right on the fringe. I have to get all the way to San Francisco at 6 as the highest scoring offense to say, all right, they got a top 3 back, and it matters that they have him. Or Minnesota at 8 with Dalvin Cook.
Not
and
anymore.
even they're like, we
Not
don't
anymore.
want Dalvin Cook. We'll just play Alexander Madison.
Who's not Dalvin Cook, but they don't think the drop-off's big enough to justify the expense, and that's the issue. This is why you have so many backs like Eckler and Barkley and others that cannot, and Josh Jacobs, that cannot get the deal, which, by the way, it's the right approach if I'm a general manager. So much so, like, everybody's trying to change the rules for running backs and how we need to change the contract rules for backs because this is the way it is, and the NFLPA needs to get involved. If I'm a player that plays a different position, though, I'm like, why are we giving favorite treatment suddenly to running back? Will we feel bad for them?
I would say this. It's just, and this is just a life decision, and I know sometimes not that, is that if you can play any other position in the NFL, play it. Matter of fact, if you are a running back, so you're that kind of athlete, you're the level of athlete of Josh Jacobs, pitch or play outfield or something. Like, don't play NFL running back. There's no money in it. It's a bad position. I think that they should do some things to maybe help running backs a little bit, which is just let them become free agents earlier. To me, that's the easy solution. It'll knock them further down on the draft list, but it'll get them paid sooner for the teams that actually do it. Right, Gold? Just let them. There's no 5th-year option. There's no franchise tag. They're free agents after 3 years. And just let running backs be free. Let them be free young. Because if a 25-year-old Christian McCaffrey was just out on the free agency market, he would get paid. He would. You'd actually find a team that would pony up the big dollars in order to drag him in. The only way to get running backs paid is to get them to free agency younger. Because if they're 27, it's over. Josh Jacobs, it's 26-year-old free agency. He's not going to get any money. He's going to get a 2-year deal. None of it's going to be guaranteed. It's going to suck. It's just reality.
It's crazy because Jacobs is only 25, 26 years old.
That's old. You need them to hit free agency mark when they're 23, 24, you know?
But can't some of these running backs, like, say, an Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey, just line up in the slot?
Well, I mean, they can.
Those
not
are more
every
pass catchers. Not every.
Heck, even Saquon Barkley, he could probably line up in the slot as well.
This is why Christian McCaffrey is one of the few valuable running backs in the NFL. Because he essentially he can catch 100 passes a year.
He's like Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean,
Most guys can't.
Overall now I'm never giving a running back a second contract that is someone
that's a firm rule for you.
Yeah, like, and I'm not talking about. We're not talking about free agents, right?
What if they were like Derrick Henry?
Jerick McKinnon getting a second contract is not what we're talking about here. Him signing 2 one-year deals back to back is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the guy that's going to take a 3 or 4 year deal. I just wouldn't do it as an organization. You say Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's incredible, but now the final year here or 2 of this contract is not. I don't think it's going to be pretty for the Tennessee Titans with him. They found themselves in a spot because he was so damn good. They're like, well, we can't let him walk.
He'll be
gotta
valuable
make the
for a
tough
little while
decision.
because he's one of the few body types where you're like, okay, he can actually take a little bit of a beating and be okay. I mean, look at the man.
He's also about to be 30.
Well, that's longer.
Yeah,
he lasted longer than most running backs. 30 years old.
And I
He's one
think
of the top
Jacobs
backs.
deserves another contract if he's 25.
Sure, I just don't
He'll get
think we
another
need to make
contract.
special rules. There's this big push, like they need to make, running backs should not have to have 4-year rookie deals. They should be 3. No. So why are we trying to?
Just sucks to play the worst position.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Play a different position.
I'm sorry. Like, why are we doing that? They're not. The running backs are still, if you were to rank it up, they're not the lowest paid position in football.
But it is kind of wild that because they're not the worst athlete on the field either.
Of course not.
It's like there's left guards out there just like slumming it out, and they're going to make $12 million. And you're like, God, if running backs can't even get there. They're the lowest paid position in
but
the
I can go
league.
draft a 7th rounder in Pacheco. I can bring a guy off the street and Jerick McKinnon. I can have an undrafted rookie maybe in Deneric Prince be my guy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a first-round pick. We all know how that all went. I mean, so there's plenty of examples across the board. There's always an exception or two. I wouldn't have done what the Falcons did this year. I wouldn't have spent that high.
God, no. They just had a 1,000-yard running back that was undrafted. Was Algier undrafted?
Out of BYU. I think he was a late draft pick. Maybe he was undrafted, but he was out of BYU. Robinson's going to be great. I really think so. But some team's going to make the mistake. Maybe it'll be the Falcons of not only drafting him where they did, but then giving him a massive 3 or 4 year extension.
Like, look
in
at
2 years.
Did the Giants made the postseason, right? And then lost in the first round?
Say
Did the
that
Giants
again?
make the playoffs last year?
Yeah.
Okay, so of the leading
They
rushers.
won a playoff game too, I believe,
in
right?
Maybe.
And then they lost to Philly. That was that wild card weekend? Honestly, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. In the leading rushing category, Josh Jacobs, team didn't make the playoffs. Derrick Henry, team didn't make the playoffs. Nick Chubb, team didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, they beat the Vikings.
Saquon Barkley managed to get into the postseason, did beat the Vikings. There you go. Miles Sanders was 5th in the NFL in rushing yards last year. Their team made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Dalvin Cook did make the playoffs, lost in the first round. Then it's just a list of there's so many guys who didn't even get it.
So what do you think happens real quick with Jacobs then?
I think he holds out for 1 week and then shows up.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to hold out.
He'll hold
be
out
there.
1 week. He'll do the 1 week thing, and that's it.
Real quick, we were talking during What's Trending how Brad Keller was making a rehab assignment and how we were hoping that he performs well, can get called up and all that. Well, he faced 5 hitters today. He did not start the game. Brad Keller, a third of an inning, 2 runs, 4 walks. He could not find the strike zone whatsoever today. 20% of the time, he found the strike zone on
20 pitches. He threw 4 strikes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
that seems bad.
Pulling for you, Brad. Pulling for you.
I like Brad.
Not good. Well, yeah.
Does he have the yips?
Well,
This isn't as bad as the Alek Manoah situation, but before he went on the IL, he could not throw a strike, and now he's in AAA in Omaha trying to get this done. He can't throw a strike there either. Alek Manoah pitched in rookie ball or A ball yesterday, and gave up 11 earned runs, and he was 3rd in Cy Young voting last year.
Just popped in my head. Would you trade Brad Keller for Alek Manoah?
In a second.
Of
Alek
course.
Manoah finished 3rd in the Cy Young.
Yeah, but if he has the yips,
I'll get a hypnotist.
it is hard to get out of the yips.
Dude, I'll get him a hypnotist. We'll take psychotics. We'll do whatever we got to do to try to get Manoah's head straight. Because it's not a talent issue with Manoah. He was 3rd for Cy Young last year. Brad Keller's shown some talent too, but I think he's in his head. I think Brad Keller is I like Brad Keller, so I don't really want him to leave town, but also I think
he needs a change of scenery. Yeah.
That helps. That helps players.
He desperately needs to go somewhere else, be around somebody else, and just feel different. It's like the second Whit Merrifield got traded, who was his best friend on the team. He's never been the same pitcher. And now he just can't get out of his own way. Ooh. Well.
Yeah, so that's not good. He will not be up very soon. He's gonna have to make another rehab assignment. You can't have him come up after that.
Faced 5 hitters, walked 4.
Yeah, he's not ready to come back up. So, yeah.
Angel Zerpa also had a rehab. God, I forget how many pitchers they had injured this year. Keller was hurt. Zerpa, Bubic.
Yeah, but let's not kid
Lynch.
ourselves. That's not why they're where they're at.
No. I'm just saying, like, that didn't help.
Of course
Would
not.
they be a good team if all of their pitchers had stayed healthy? No. Would
They
they
might
be
have-
5 games better?
I'm just
Probably.
glad.
About 4.
I'm just
About 4.
This is always the cautionary thing when we're like, hey, somebody had X amount of good starts, give them an extension. This is why you have to be very cautious when you do that, because there's a lot of people that wanted Brad Keller to get an extension about 2 years ago. Thank goodness that did not occur.
Somebody's like, do you remember Rick Ankiel? Yeah. And I remember Chuck Knobloch not being able to throw from second base to first. Rick Ankiel came back as a completely different pitcher.
Have you ever had the yips?
I don't think so.
Radio yips?
The radio yips?
Just can't talk today. Just can't come up with the right thoughts.
You've known me a long time. Have you ever known me to be short of words?
No. Yeah. But have you ever felt like you had a stretch where you just couldn't get it on?
Come again?
Cut that.
Come again?
Cut that as a drop forever, Kramer. Just immediately rewind that
Have you?
sentence.
Have you? You're the one advertising Blue Chew over there.
Use, I don't know if promo code Cody still works, but, fire it off.
What about you, Kramer?
One way to find out.
Yips, baseball or otherwise?
I don't acknowledge the yips because if you think about it, you know it'll happen.
Oh. Okay.
Little worry.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
So I'm a little stitious.
Just a little. Someone's also pointing out psychotics. That's what you want people taking?
Sorry.
This show today, my God.
It's been a mess.
I'll blame the medicine I'm on. Cody, I don't know what your excuse is.
Do I need one? Can people just have off days? I didn't say the dumbest thing on the show today. That was Kramer. So
I might have just said it. I don't know.
Well,
Kramer's take was the worst of the day, no doubt.
Yeah.
The Chris
Should
Jones
we start
take.
having awards Can we start having awards at the end of the show?
Worst take of the day. Yeah. But have you ever felt like you had a stretch where you just couldn't get it on?
Oh man, I don't know. That thing
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a pretty
That's
good
a good
drop.
one. That's a good job for sure.
That one's gonna.
We were talking about the yips. I was trying to ask Cody if he's had radio yips. Came out a little bit differently.
That one's gonna last a little while.
Something other yips is what he's probably thinking.
Someone's very confused because they're like, you mean psychedelics,
Yeah,
not
that's what I
psychotics?
meant. Yeah. Where'd you save that one, Kramer? We need that for future use. I don't see it in the Cody and Gold folder.
Hey, easy there. I'm getting there.
Okay. You just stick it up there, put the word drop next to it. That way we can find it for later.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to use it more today. I just feel like hypothetically.
Yeah.
For as much as I was optimistic, I am excited. Just briefly before the show's over, I am excited to see Austin Cox pitch tonight. I'm not going to put the whole world on it or anything, but I think the way Vern had put it earlier, where he's had a chance to kind of season his game, for as much as the Royals have admitted, and I think is actually true, they rushed up some pitchers when they were pitching really, really, really well in the minors, and it seemed like it was time. And then they got up and they really struggled. So Austin Cox would fall under the opposite of that. Austin Cox probably spent too much time in the minors, Gold, because there were 7 other starting pitchers they liked better that they kept calling up instead of him. So maybe for once, and this is my hope, they will have found their pitcher that, shows up and immediately steps into rotation, because good teams do that. They're not a good team, but this would be a thing a good team does.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, this has a chance to be one of the nice stories. It's going to take multiple starts, good or bad, to find out if that's the case, but definitely promising. That's where we're at, though. It's like you're just looking for any signs of hope.
Life. And I feel like he's in that range, isn't he?
Yep.
He qualifies in there.
Yep.
The text line saying something?
Well, they're just making fun of your
yeah.
verbiage around Austin Cox starting tonight.
You think he has the yips? He can get up, get on. Sorry.
This show.
Now you have me doing
Kramer. Thank you, Kramer.
Now I have that cut forever. And then you can cut, I guess, anything I said about Austin Cox.
I won't do that.
In fairness, that's his name. There's nothing
I know it is. I agree. You were just talking about whether or not he can perform tonight. That's all.
Yeah.
Hope so.
I hope so as well.
I thought, by the way, Cody, if you're watching the stream, Twitch, Facebook, you can see every day, obviously, the different shirts we're wearing. Someone yesterday wanted to know where we got the smoking that Joe Burrow shirt. That was from exclusive. That
Maybe
was
I'll put mine in the
down
garage tomorrow.
But you're wearing a shirt that says Balto. I thought it said Balco, as in
We talked about the all-drunk Olympics yesterday, and you thought I had a Balco
I thought
shirt?
we were just going all steroids. We have taken steroids on the show today, talking steroids yesterday, and I thought you were wearing a Balco shirt or whatever.
That would be something, but no, this is a Negro League Baseball museum shirt.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to remind the 5 people who haven't paid.
Yeah, there's 5 of you out there
to pay.
Everybody else has paid for their items. Some of you have been picking your items up. Again, tomorrow's another day. From 9 to 2:30, you can come by and pick up your item. You just got to follow the directions that we sent you in an email. Pick up your item. But
yeah, when I went out there, I rolled my ankle. My knee's kind of feeling it right now.
What?
You
rolled the strain? When you roll your ankle and the strain
You were carrying
up?
an autographed baseball down to someone, and you rolled your ankle?
I had to look for the cars, and I wasn't paying attention to where I was stepping, and I rolled my ankle.
There we go.
Playing hurt. You both are playing hurt. I feel fine, by the way.
Good.
I'm
injury free. Give me a few more days, and we'll be good to go. This stuff is going to work just fine.
You sure?
I mean, I'm not 100%
You're clearly
sure.
still struggling a little.
We're good. It's not even 24 hours with the antibiotics, the steroid, and the inhaler. We'll be good.
There's so much going on. I'm going to take a screenshot of the video stream later and see if, like, at the right angle, you can't tell what you're using. If you're using an inhaler, or if
at one point I was coughing, and Cody said you should use your inhaler. Which at that point it was already almost 4 hours, so it was good. And yes, Cody thought it looked like I was, because it's got an extender on the.
It's got like a big extra piece.
It's called an extender that's on the inhaler they gave me, and I've never used one before.
Yeah, it's fine. You're fine. Don't worry. We said a bunch of stuff we regret to end the show.
Thank God. Okay. That's it. I heard there's ice cream downstairs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some.
Yeah?
Sure.
They're leaving about 7 minutes, so you better...
Maybe I'm playing this pickleball game.
Wait. We only have 7 minutes?
Go get ice cream, 7 minutes.
Bye!
Talk to you later. See you tomorrow.